All right, we got a great show. We got an unbelievable panel tonight, guys. I appreciate everybody waiting. We're actually on time. First time, and I can't even remember how long. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Doggy Dog 420 and Super Chat. Says Super Chat's working. Try it out. It's great. The water's warm. Doggy Dog, thank you so much. I want to say shout out to Jessica Pham, too, who was talking to me before the show started in the chat. Shout out to Jessica and all the support she's given on the channel as well. Thank you, guys. Guys, it means so much to me that you guys are here every week. I can't stress just how much this means. And guys, the Mooch Maniacs, you guys that hit that little join button right above the description and help the channel grow every single week, every single month. I just want to take a second to thank every one of you guys individually. Shout out to Sir X-Man, Midway Monster, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, Ben Link, TrueWiddy, The Wise Old Gamer, Failed Pyromancer, Frostbite Slash, Jacob Evans, Tactical Gamer, our major Mooch Maniacs and 4-star General, Matt Bradley, Shaun Slamka, Brian B, a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs, Remarkable Knights, Van W, a.k.a. The Butcher Van, Rich Kreischer, Rated D Demonic, Doggy Dog 420, The Great Percolator 9000, and our honorable mentions, pardon me, EDM Gamer Records, Lucifer, and Masshole 1977, who are not in the Mooch Maniac family currently, but they're still with us in our hearts, and the great Wilmy Hood. Shout out to Wilmy and our forever Mooch Maniac, Longshot 316. Guys, here's what's special about tonight. And shout out to Wrath the Emperor, who's back. Wrath, thank you so much for joining the channel. Again, it truly means a lot to me. Guys, tweet it out. Please hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. We've got a panel here, and we've got some hot topics that are definitely going to get the audience moving, and they're definitely going to get this panel all sorts of aggravated. But it's a great aggravated. It's a good aggravated. It's Friday, guys, so with no further ado, let me go to the one, the only Crap Gamer. Crap, how the hell are you doing tonight?
Wait, did I unmute this thing? Yes,
you're definitely unmuted, buddy.
I'm unmuted. I was eating food there that whole time too. Yeah. So anyway, it's good to be here. So it does have a nice panel. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, you know, these are the best weeks to do these type of shows. So I'm very interested to get into it and sort of tear apart what we've been hearing, because not only do we have a lot of news officially, but a lot of developers are speaking, which is always a good thing too. So exciting times. Stick around, everybody. Hit the like button, share, all that kind of good stuff. It's going to be a good one.
Crap, I appreciate that. And then I've got our buddy here. Our defense lawyer from Redmond is here. He's special first-class ride right into Crossfire. Xbot 448. Xbot, how you doing tonight?
Battletoads!
That'll never go away.
What is up, chat? What is up, panel? Yeah, started right off with that. Yeah. Mooch, I gotta say, you know, you have a great panel put together every week, but there are times where you look at who is in the Discord and you go, this is absolute perfection. And, you know, in honor of that, I just got to say, 12 P-flops, yo.
All right. Well, you're going to
go down.
I hope you brought your Cliff's notes for the Xbox Series S. You're going to need them tonight, Xbot. He comes right from work, right to the panel. He's here for you folks, not for us, for you. Gaming Forte. Forte, welcome back to the show, buddy. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I wasn't at work today, man. This was vacation week.
That's what I'm talking about.
Man, you gotta get it all in, man. You know it's gonna be full tilt over the next couple of months, so gotta get that time in when you can, man. But it's always good to be here on Crossfire, man. Another great chance to talk to the community about some of the crazy stuff going on, and this is one of the bigger weeks than any.
Yes, it is, and that's going to start in about 5 minutes, so get ready for it. And then I've got my special guest here. You know, we talked about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, but we just couldn't get schedules to meet. Things were going on. We finally got him on the show. Guys, everyone's been asking for him. Supernova Gaming is on the show. Supernova, welcome to the show, buddy. How are you tonight?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a long time in the making. I was unfortunately in the hospital last time we spoke about a month ago, but I'm good and healthy now, and I'm here. So let's go.
Awesome, Supernova. And honestly, this is a treat. Honestly, I have Broken Games here tonight. So me and BG have been talking for a couple of months. BG reaches out to me about 2 months ago. He's like, Mooch, we got to get you on Weapon Wheel. So I said, all right, let's do this. Had an outstanding time. Actually got a chance to meet a lot of the guys that are on the show. Hung out with a lot of guys on Twitter after the show. And I said, you know what? We've got to get his expertise on this show. So without any further ado, great to have you on here tonight. And BG, it's been too long, buddy. How are you? And thanks for being here.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for the invite. You know, great to be on. You know, ready to talk about some topics. You know, definitely appreciate you coming on Weapon Wheel. Side note, shout out to Forte. You know, I know he does like 10 podcasts a week, and you know, here he is on Crossfire with me. Shout out to him.
You never would have assumed, right, BG? No way. You'd never assume he'd be here tonight. So let me start with BG. I'm going to put you on the hot seat first here, buddy. I really want to get your take on this because you've seen the banter, you've seen the ridiculousness, you've seen even the professionals from the actual developing standpoint coming out and making these claims that possibly the Xbox Series S, after the reveal, that it could possibly be a bottleneck for future games down the pipe, right? So we see it's $299. That didn't really surprise a whole lot of people, right, BG? I mean, you always say this on Twitter, too. If you were... Listen, BG, please tell Xbox the truth. Like, if you've been paying attention to anything, $299 did not drop you out of your seat, okay? So, I didn't see that as a big surprise. What was it going to come in at? It wasn't going to come in at, like, $350 when the other one's going to be $500. So... Real quick, though, BG, what do you think here? And I'm asking from a landscape perspective here. Are you thinking that what you saw was par for the course? There's nothing that really surprised you? Or were you a little bit shocked and taken back when you've seen some of the developers come out recently and, I wouldn't use the word and say criticized, but say have serious concerns with what the S could do in hindering the Xbox Series X's capabilities?
You can say criticized because those are serious criticisms.
I wouldn't give it much credence at this point yet, right? Because, like, I don't know, there was one developer who was saying that, like, I think it was the id Software one, saying that, like, he was, like, measuring how the amount of RAM, the pace of how it increased from console generation to console generation, and he was saying that, like, we should be at 128 gigs by now, and I'm like, that's a little bit out of this world. Right. That's not like, you know, that's not fathomable at this point. We don't, like, even on PC, I have 32 gigs of RAM. I don't think I've ever played a game that even used over 16. So I maybe from a development standpoint, he might need that much. But for gamers, I don't know why we would even need that much, even if, like, we could get there and the expenses could be kept down. But yeah, I am a little bit surprised. I wouldn't give it any credence yet because I think usually at the beginning of generations, there are usually a few developers that come out and talk about some technical hindrances that they run into. I can't remember what it was at the beginning of our current generation, but there were some things. I can't remember exactly what it was. And, you know, they didn't have that much. Not saying they didn't have any validity, but they didn't impact the way the generation went that much.
Okay, so BG, I totally ride with what you're saying. And the 128 gigs, that was definitely a far-fetched tale for him to even kind of put into print. But I want to go back and say that since then, we've had Digital Foundry now reveal that the Xbox, and everyone was like, well, listen, the Xbox Series S it's sticking your foot into the next generation. It's like, it's a stepping stone into next generation. So my point being to you is that now we're finding out that the Xbox Series S will only be able to play the back compact games of the Xbox One S and not even really hit what the Xbox One X was doing. That's where the RAM, where he was saying that the 128, he was off his rocker. But to sit there and say that what they did provide
about RAM in general,
right? RAM in general, right? Use
the S as an opportunity to vent about RAM, and you know, from talking to the Don and other independent developers, they are always RAM hungry. They always want more system memory.
Absolutely. But I mean, realistically speaking, right? But to say that the S, which is supposed to be an entry-level stepping stone into next generation, isn't going to even be able to do the back compact games up to the Xbox One X version, that's what I'm trying to say. I've been saying this for a very long time. Who's this Series S for? I mean, it seems like you're barely putting your big toe in the pool for next generation.
The Series S will run Xbox One S versions of backwards compatible games while applying improved texture filtering, higher and more consistent frame rates, faster load times, and auto high dynamic range when it comes to the color as well. So you're not getting bare bones Xbox One S, you know, when it comes to the backwards compatibility.
Oh, but if you care about all the enhancements and stuff, just get the X.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, Supernova, what's your take on this? I mean, you've heard me kind of just put my point out there in saying that there definitely seems to be certain drawbacks to buying the Series S. And here's the thing. we're all in this echo chamber, right? We talk on Twitter. We're definitely hardcore. If you're listening to this show or you listen to anybody's show on this panel, okay, you're definitely hardcore. And I see a lot of people being like, well, I'll buy an S. And I'm like, why? We just spent 7 years in this particular generation. I understand that it'll get the frames that you're looking for the next generation, but we've all had this argument about resolution, which that's fine. If you don't care about resolution, I say that's fine.
You don't care about resolution,
no,
right,
no, it's not a big deal. It's not. But let's also be honest. Everybody on this panel and probably about 90% of the people listening have gone out and bought a 4K TV. So, like, wouldn't you want to validate that purchase a little bit? I don't understand what we're doing here. This just seems like an odd stepping stone. Go ahead, Forte.
No, but I just think overall, if you bought a 4K TV, then why are you buying an S? I agree with you 100% on that, because you're not taking advantage of the TV set that you bought. If you went out and bought 4K TV for the X, then you should. Anybody that's upgrading from an X to an S, I feel like that's a lateral move. I feel like. Overall, I mean, is it a more powerful system than the X? Yes, but is it like the jump that you're going to be expecting going from like a S to a Series S? I mean X? No. So I think if you are a person with an X, then the S shouldn't be on your radar anyway. Now if you're just going to use it as your 4K streaming box and Game Pass whenever you want to play in your bedroom or something, like shout out to BG, because I watched his video where he talked about why he might buy, the 2 different versions of the PlayStation 5 to have one in the game room. People
that's what I'm doing too. Yeah.
People that have high-end PCs, you don't have to go out and buy.
That's true.
You don't have to go out and buy, the X. You can just get an S if you want to play those same games on a different room. Okay. So I think if you're a person that has that situation, then yeah, that's fine. But if you're a person that's coming from like something lower than an X, then this is a huge upgrade for you. The fact that all this stuff is coming out about upscaling of the older back-to-back games and stuff like that, that was kind of a symptom of how Microsoft has always did things when it comes to their force. That they use the power that they have in the system to force what they want to happen in the system. There's nothing elegant. There's nothing elegant about how the X was able to make games that were last generation on a 360, make them run better and make them run up to 4K, because it had, it had the scalability to do that. You're losing that scalability because that's what they put on the box. They say this system is only going to be 1080p, 1440p is what it's shooting for. If you think your old games are going to do that, they don't have the memory constraint to do that. That's why that system has 1440p on it and not 4K. So, I think people kind of don't read when they kind of have these conversations about this type of stuff. If you want to have the same experience you have now, and you're one of those people that's playing at 4K, then just go out and get the better system. Don't worry about the system that's cheaper, because that system wasn't in your bar park anyways, if that's the type of stuff you were going after.
So I've been, my sentiment as far as like 1080p, 1440p is that at this point I can't really play I could play a game in 1080p, but I don't like how it looks. I think 1440p is the like acceptable resolution. Once you go down to 1080p, things definitely start looking blurry. Right. So I can't look at an image that's 1080p anymore. But 1440p to me is still very acceptable right now. That image still, like, even on my PC. Even on my PC, under certain circumstances, I'll still put a game down to 1440p and play at that if needed. Usually I don't.
BG, I'm right there with you with this, but now hear me out real quick. So we're already hearing that it's going to have a bit of a hard time, or won't at all play the back compact games that Xbox One X can do, right? And then you're hearing certain developers say that it could be a bottleneck. Right now, here's my next question. You know as well as I know, like, you ever look at the big sticker on the side of a car when you go to buy it, and it tells you the gas on the highway in the city? You know both those. You never get both of those. You never get either of those numbers. That's just what they tell you. They maxed out perfect condition. Right. So what I'm saying to you now is they're also saying to you that 1440p is the max out. So if they're stressing it on other levels and it can't do this and it can't do that already that we know, that's what I'm saying to you. So when you say, I'm with you, 1440p is an amazing place to be right now. I think 90% of PC gamers would agree with that. But what I'm saying to you is, if that's the top of what they're telling me, that's the sticker on the city of the gas mileage, I know that I'm playing a lot. Right. I'm probably hitting 1080p most of the time if I'm getting 60 frames.
And dude,
or 120 frames, pardon me.
No, the Series S is not for anybody here on the panel as their solidary kind of like Xbox console. not the market that they're going for.
Absolutely. So that was my next question. Is this Phil's way of trying to get into the Wii crowd, the Wii U crowd, the you know what I mean, the Switch crowd?
The more kind of casual crowd, when
the hashtag bitch casuals.
And when you look at the price tag with this, he's trying to get that more casual market to invest sooner into Xbox. When you go into the store and you see one next gen console for $300, when was the last time when a new generation launched, you saw a console there for $300?
PlayStation 1.
PlayStation 1, which was how long ago? You know what I'm saying, man? It was a long time ago, and even back then, $300 meant a lot more than kind of like what it does today. Throughout inflation and all that good stuff.
The concern I have with the S though is the RAM limitations, the speed of the RAM specifically. So I'm thinking, okay, this game, the S is supposed to be able to play everything the X can, just reduced, right?
Right.
But at some point, there's going to be games, especially from first party, that they're going to have to take into consideration the RAM limitations of the S. So they're going to have to dumb those games down in order for the S to run them, or they're going to have to make X exclusive games, especially if they want the X and their first party games to be able to compete with PlayStation first party games that don't have to worry about RAM limitations of anything.
So and I had to argue with somebody over that too. And if you look at it at face value, you could be right. But the biggest thing people aren't taking into consideration is we're literally going through that right now on PC. They just announced 3 new graphics cards, and 2 of them run at a faster RAM speed. They all run at GDDR6, but 2 of them run at X, which is 2 times the speed of the original of the card that they have. And they also scalable because one is running at 8 gigs, the other one's running at 10 or 12, and then you got the high end of 3090 running at 24. So scalability has always been the thing. Like when I saw the RAM, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I think a lot of people were more upset that they didn't leave the RAM the same. And I kind of agree with that. I think they should have left the RAM the same. But for people to come out and say that the RAM is going to hold back the system and hold back what you're going to get on the next generation on a higher end SKU, that's kind of crazy, because we're literally seeing brand new graphics cards that people are championing. And they're saying, go out and buy the 3070, which is the lowest denominator of all of them. And that one has a completely different RAM speed than the other one. So people just, when they start talking about this stuff, you kind of got to just look at everything that is encompassed around it. I understand that this is just it's a lot of stuff going on that a lot of people just find out very, very short in like a short amount of time. But overall, is it good that this system is available for people to buy? Absolutely. Because I think this isn't targeted towards the people that own X's. It's not even targeted towards people that own a PS4 Pro. It's targeted towards people like, we don't know exactly because Microsoft stopped giving us numbers at 14 million systems. But it's easy to say probably a good 50% of this market is either still on the S or they're on the original X, on the original Xbox. So this system is going to be a huge jump to any of those people. And like BG just said, and like you just said, the barometer of being 1080p, 60 frames per second, and probably upscaling to 1440p will probably be more of the normal. But guess what? I will take 1080p. Not on PC, because I'm not you, because I'm like BG. I play 1440p ultra wide screen, so I'm good where I'm at. But for people on console, 1080p with ultra graphics and 60 frames per second will look better than 1440p in middle of the lane offerings when it comes to like the texture quality they're going to give you in the game.
Let me do this.
So I think it depends on how they build the games in this generation compared to what they did before. Are they going to scale with performance, or are they going to scale and try to give you the graphical fidelity and suffer on the performance side? It looks like they're going on the performance side. If they're doing that, I'd rather have better looking visuals at a lower resolution.
There's a whole other side of the conversation. I know no one really kind of has. Some developers have come out and started talking about this. And shout out to Optimus Code. He's been on the show a number of times, and he's definitely put his facts on the table. And the one thing I'm just saying is this. Okay, let's revert. We're talking third party with a lot of these hypotheses that everybody's discussing right now. That's fine. Let's talk about first party for a second. Okay, here's my thing with first party. You think that the S will kind of pull back the Xbox Series X? And they're developing. Listen, we saw it with Craig, right? We saw it with Halo Infinite. So my point being is that listen, this was a very, very good point though, Xbot. What they make for the Xbox Series X, it has to play on the Xbox Series S. And I'm not talking about frame rate and this, that. I'm talking about the worlds, the environments, the AI. Okay, I'm talking about just how big this new adventure can be when they have to remember that. Maybe it doesn't matter, right? The CPUs are similar, so it doesn't matter.
They got the velocity architecture in there. They got the fast SSD here. Yep. And here's another thing when it comes down to it. This is why I think a lot of the devs that did speak out, they're just pissed off that they have to scale down to the S. Because even Jason Ronald said, you build for the X, and then you scale down to the S. And I think there are just developers out there pissed that they have to put in extra work where they don't necessarily have to do that on the PlayStation side of things. Everything is identical except for one has a disk drive, the other one doesn't. All right.
And the thing I'm wondering is, right, because with this generation, 30 frames per second was it's not a good standard, but it was the normal. It was the norm, right? This generation.
Yes.
Now, we got a few games that had.
My bad. I had somebody at the door, yo. My bad. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a few games, that had the choice between a performance mode and things like that. Now heading into next generation, there probably still going to be some games that are 30, but now we have the option, especially with third-party developers, they can choose 30, 60, or 120. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, with the S, what's going to be like their target resolution? Because I still think 120 frame games running at 120 are not going to be the most common thing. I think like 60 might be the most common.
That's right.
Dude, I definitely.
That's right. I'm glad you say that too, BG, because that's the thing. A lot of people are running, and I got in this conversation today on Twitter, and everyone's like, "Well, Mooch, you do understand that the Xbox Series S is going to be hitting 120 frames," and I'm like, again, that's the max out, and it depends on the game. If it's just something that's like right, if it's Excitebike. Right, remember that game? If it's just like a dirt game or something like that, that's just you on a motorbike, it'll hit 120 frames, no problem. But like if you're talking about something graphically intensive, like you can kiss that 120 going. And I'll be honest with you, BG, even 60 is gonna be a struggle because we heard Valhalla's coming out, AC Valhalla's coming out now at 4K 60. But when you see a company, and we've all been paying attention to this for years, okay? When I see a company say they're gonna be 4K 30, and then they're like, no, we were just kidding a month ago, 4K 60. To me personally, right now I'm like, okay, so listen, right? It's like the pot of money is only so big. Where'd you take the money from? Where did you take out of to get there? Point. So what I'm saying to you is they drop down the visibility, they scale down the graphics a bit so they can get that 60. What are they doing?
Because here's
sacrifices made.
Most games actually don't need to be. Let me see. There's a good amount of games that don't need to, depending on the genre, that don't need to be 120. Where there's certain games like Gears, which is especially Gears Online, which is a fast-paced, frenetic type of game online. You definitely can benefit from 120 in that type of game.
Yes.
Game like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I wouldn't say you benefit that much over versus 60. I think you're completely fine at 60. There's games where
I played bragging rights at that point in time.
There's games where I played it at 60. And I'm like, this is actually pretty bad at 60. I need to go up to 120. But there's other games that's fine at 60. So you don't always need that 120 also. And people need to understand that support, when something says they support something, that doesn't mean all the games are going to be added. It just means it can get up to there. And then the other thing I'm thinking about is like, okay, if they decide some of these games, just because it supports 1440p, that means they can still go over that. If because there were games this generation that ran at obscure resolutions like 1800p, and it just upscaled. So
that's right. Even
if they get some games that ran at 60, and 1800p, that's not too far. That's not too far. It has to upscale versus the 1440p, which will still look like a really good image.
I'm gonna get crap in here too. Let me just do a couple of these super chats before they grow on me here. Sir X Man says, you forgot the lowest tier is going to be the Xbox, I believe you mean Series S. He says at about $150. I don't know if he means, I think he's trying to say at the holiday. People forget they're still manufacturing that console during the holiday facts. The myth, he says, the S is 1080p. That goes up to 1440p, very similar to what BG was just saying. Junior Engineer said devs will develop on the X and scale down to the S with minimal effort, no next-gen bottleneck. I get that, but there's also other people saying otherwise, the myth, but I do hear you. Mr. Miracle says Xbox drops price and release date, and immediately after Sony and PlayStation is trending worldwide. Xbox isn't in the same galaxy as PlayStation. JD Gamer says people hate to see things change. I remember when Sony was the largest, most advanced tech manufacturer out there, i.e. the best TVs, computers, etc. Now look at them. Nobody's picking Sony TVs over LG. I definitely see where you're going with that, JD, but I don't think that plays a role in today's conversation. And then JD says,
they got quality hardware.
I do too, absolutely. He says, I say that to say the console war is over. Microsoft is about their money, and they will make bucket loads with Game Pass and xCloud going places not even PlayStation can go.
There was a war?
That's still yet to be. It's still yet to be determined, JD. That's
you need two combatants for that,
right?
Let's just be honest. Microsoft isn't in it to win it. They aren't. You know, per Phil Spencer. I mean, we believe Phil, right?
You're making some pretty good steps right now.
He's never lied, right? He's made some pretty good stuff. Here's the thing. I keep hearing how Xbox keeps winning, and I'm searching around. Did they announce some AAA exclusives that I'm not aware of? Yeah. Are these coming out? Like the main thing that's important for us gamers is that did they announce that? Because as far as I can tell, they've announced 5 consoles since 2016, and we haven't got a AAA game to launch from them themselves for this big next-gen console launch. So for me, they don't win anything until they actually start releasing consistent, great exclusive or Microsoft exclusives
that are excited. For what they're hearing
that's fine, and I love the fact that people, and we're all hypocrites at some point, but I love to see the hypocrisy because, like you said, Xbot, the people that I see and follow are all getting the Xbox Series X because they've been touting power forever now, but yet they're championing this weak-ass, flimsy, limp dick Series S as well, and it makes no sense. Why are they championing that? Because they want that to sell well, right? Even though they'll claim on the backside of that they don't care about sales, but then they're championing the Series S because they want it to sell well. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just like the ones that go, we don't really care about sales or we don't care about Metacritic. And then the minute Flight Simulator hits a 93, they're like, damn, look at that shit. How do you like that, ponies?
Honestly, if I get a series,
how do you like that? I mean, give me a break.
I don't know if I'm getting the S or the X because the S is such a great value with
great value. Great value. It's got 512 megabytes of RAM, and guess what? Or memory. And how much of that is going to be used for the OS? You're not going to have much left. It's a Trojan horse at best. It's the Xbox 360 arcade all over again. How many people did you know? I knew a lot. Would get that arcade machine, and then they would realize that they needed the hard drive too. Yeah. Because honestly, that's what you need. It's all to get your foot in the door, and that's all they're doing. That's literally all they're doing. It's a sucker's bet.
I would say the S is probably not future proof. Like the first 2 years, you're probably gonna think that it's completely fine, right? But then maybe year 3, you start to notice like, damn, it's not able to, handle this game at this. So right out the gate, like I call that price dangerous because you look at that price and not to downplay $300 because some people are going through hard times right now, but you look at that price, I'm like, I personally don't want the Xbox Series. I don't want either one, but the price makes me like, it's $300. I might have $300 lying around just to get it. So the price is that appealing.
At it like that, bro.
The price is that appealing that I don't even want it, but I want to buy it just because it's so cheap, just because it's there.
So wait, I think a lot of people are going to buy it as a secondary device. It'll be their secondary device.
The thing is, I want to point this out. Advantages that people keep hyping up that Xbox has right going into next gen. The same goddamn advantages that they've had for the last 3 years. The most powerful console on earth, the cheapest console on earth, Xbox Game Pass, Play Anywhere. This stuff is stuff they've had and has helped them zero because through all of this and the supposed learning that they've done, they haven't learned that people want games.
Yeah,
quality exclusives.
Well, that's console war shit though, and they know there's no way they're going to sell more consoles than PlayStation. It's not going to happen. These devices are about getting people into Game Pass, not about selling the consoles. That's It's all
like
about
the
Game
one
Pass.
the developer said yesterday. Exactly. He said that he feels like this is Microsoft's last foray into hardware, and they're going to make the
100%.
switch over to. And I agree with that. I don't think that we're going to see anything else probably after these consoles release. But at the same time, the fact that they did come out and try to undercut Sony does show that they must somewhat care. Plus, I've heard, I'm friends with the Southbounds and the Tim Dogs, and they're friends with Phil and talk to him and all these other. They are very embarrassed by the beating that they take by Sony. They're a very prideful company. I honestly do, despite what Phil says. The things that I've heard too is that he very much wants to go out there and sell more consoles than PlayStation. Of course, how could he not want to?
Yeah,
how could he not want to?
If they could sell more, they would sell more, and they would love to do. They would love to sell more consoles than PlayStation and get everybody into Game Pass. But they know they're only going to be able to do one of the two, so that's the one that they're focusing on. If they sell a bunch of fucking S's and a bunch of X's, that's great. But they're focusing on the Game Pass because they know that that's the one that they can actually accomplish. The other one is
no matter what, that widens the consumer base.
So does so if we're sitting here saying what we're saying, and this the price tag, which everyone agrees, right? $299 is, of course, it's an appealing price tag. Do we see that?
Dude, it's insane.
So let me just quick question: does anybody see Sony mimicking this and making their own $299?
No.
Okay.
No. I'll say this: like the thing about Xbox is listen, I just think that they can't really get their first party game situation right. I think that's they've done there's not much you can complain about with the Xbox S and X as machines, right? And at the price point. But when it comes down to just even how they present their games and how they talk about them before they present them. My bad, that's my phone going off. It's always like a blunder. Like when Phil Spencer said, after Sony's presentation, he feels very confident. I'm thinking, oh man, I think he finally got it. And then I watched the presentation and I'm like, Phil's drunk again. He's delusional. He's fucking delusional. That's the only thing they just can't get right over all this time is their first party lineup. It doesn't matter, whether it's on PC or not. We understand they put all their games on PC. But at least if all their first party studios were putting out, doesn't got to be AAA, but just quality games consistently, then, it would be great. But that's the one thing I feel like they can't get right yet.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree with that.
I haven't seen it either. I mean, if you just look at the stuff that they're releasing, and the problem is, I mean, maybe it's not a problem for everybody, is they just got, Microsoft's got that shit-eating grin all the time, too. Like, we just released Tell Me Why and Battletoads and Wasteland 3. And you know what I mean? It's like they act like...
Get on Battletoads, you
like holy cow, man. Those games... Dude, Battletoads was an average game at best. And let's just be...
level, bro.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't make it better.
Out here
it's a fucking arcade game.
Hey, Xbot, for all that talk you did, have you beat it yet?
No, I'm playing multiple games.
Okay, then. It doesn't matter what level you're playing it on. I beat it in 3 hours, 15, whatever it was. It doesn't matter. I played the shit that you hyped up and beat it before you, and you hyped it up nonstop. And I can tell you right now, the game is not great, man. It has some okay aspects to it, but it's nothing to brag about. No. And that's the point.
Xbox likes to fucking brag about getting participation trophies. Like, yeah, bro, got fucking 6th place.
Exactly. So, for me personally, it's like until they release and they showed a couple things. But what happened to the Xbox that had some balls and bought Gears of War, bought Halo, bought had Mass Effect as an exclusive, had Alan Wake. Like, why didn't they have the foresight to get some kind of game in the interim? I get that they bought studios, quote unquote. A lot of them I'm not particularly sold on and don't care about because they aren't studios that really proven much. Yeah, but why not get something in the interim? Why is it? And I bring this up because Gears of War 5 launched September 6, 2019. And we are September 9th, 2020. And that was the last AAA first-party exclusive for Microsoft released on the Xbox console. So over a year now, and obviously they don't have one coming this year in total. So you're going to possibly go to the end of next year when Halo releases, 2.5 years almost, with no AAA exclusive for them. If you're paying for Game Pass, Ultimate, that's $360 you've spent over those 2 years and gotten 0 first-party AAA games from Sony or from Microsoft. And not to boot, they're launching a brand new console saying we've changed. We listen. We've got 4 games at our launch. I mean, like, you sit there and question, like, how the hell is that the last thing that you fix? Like, I don't understand how that is the last thing you fix. You're a company that's making games, and that's the last. Like, that would have been the first thing that I fixed. Look at how Sony turned around the PS3. Okay, the laughing stock, $599, no games to start with. You know, super pricey. Everybody was making fun of PS3. By the end of the generation, everybody had a PS3 because they had the games. They had so many games, you literally had to wake up and kind of pay attention to what they were doing. It was absolutely, I agree with that. Phenomenally done the way that. And I thought Microsoft, to the credit, I thought Microsoft would do the same thing. Hell, it's Microsoft. They've got far more money, right? Far more money than than anybody else. So why on earth would they not do the same thing instead of giving up? And then when they gave up, and we heard it from people, we've heard it from podcasts, Pro Xbox podcasts over the years. Microsoft gave up in 2015. That's when they closed studios, canceled games. They're really already gearing up for next gen. Well, considering they're gearing up for next gen and obviously had this plan for these consoles for 4 or 5 years, how the hell do you not have anything to launch with them? You know, I don't understand.
Go ahead, BG.
Sorry. No, I mean, go ahead. But that's why I say, like, that's kind of the issue I have with Game Pass. I think Game Pass is a crutch. It's a crutch that works. I don't know how many games are available in Game Pass. I'm sure it's a great, a large amount. But between Game Pass and like the backwards compatibility that they support so much, I feel like they look at it like a safety net. That even if we don't have a great first party lineup available right now, even if the first party games don't turn out to be the best, there's always this huge library of Game Pass games and backwards compatibility and all that stuff that we can always tout and always brag about. I mean, it's a selling point they're using it as a selling point for the S.
Oh, and they've conditioned people to brag about it. Like, they have no games, but they've conditioned people to say, but yeah, we've got backwards compatibility and we have Game Pass. And what do you have? You got to wait for exclusives. Look at all the shit that we have. They've conditioned people to talk about that. Like, that's some big selling point. It's like, bro, why are you bragging about the games you're talking about? I played and beat already. I don't give a shit about those games.
Well, that's because, well, like I said, this also goes back to this isn't for us. You know, I have Game Pass on everything, and I don't ever really use it. I probably use it.
I barely use it, Forte. Barely.
I barely use it. I don't use it at all that much. But my kids in my other room, when they're on the other Xbox, she has played more games over the course of the last 3 months because of that, because she's just looking through the library. So I think for people that don't have a huge library of games, are not always kept up on all the newest stuff, it's a perfect thing for them. Is it something that's going to be beneficial to us? I think the problem is most gamers, especially us, when we look at that, it's like, we already played all this, but we forget that a huge majority of a lot of people either don't care about the new stuff when it comes out because it's too much money and they just rather wait for it to go on a sale, or they just haven't gotten to the generation. There's still people literally buying brand new PS4s and Xbox Ones.
Those same people you're talking about then have zero reason to get the next generation consoles, the S or the X, because they're getting all those.
But if the next generation console, the entry point is $300, and that's the cheapest you can get into.
It's even got BG looking, man.
But you can play. You can get whatever the Xbox One S, because they're still making the Xbox One S.
Dude, let me tell you right now, that Xbox One is going to be gone. It's going to be a holiday bundle, and once that holiday bundle is gone, it's gone. Just like the PS4.
Yeah, they're going to have to get rid of that before next holiday.
That thing around.
And also what I'm saying is, are those same people, if they already have their Xboxes and they're using Game Pass and the backwards compat for that, are they going to jump to the next generation? If they don't give a shit about all that other stuff, there's no reason for them to make the jump. They already have their Xbox and they already have Game Pass.
It's for the people that don't have it, because it's people. Look, this is the thing. People every year, people go out and buy systems. We don't know why they buy systems. They do. So sooner or later, once all of the S's are gone and all the PS4s are gone, and all that's left is PS5 and Xbox Series S's or X's, that stuff will go too.
Yeah, but the holiday and Forte from a sales,
you'll buy what's available.
That's right. That's fine.
Because
but this. Forte, you got to draw the line in the sand. Don't get me wrong. You're right. 100% right. When you walk into a store as a parent and you say, hi, I'll take a PS5, you're like, sold out. I'll take a Series X, sold out. What do you got? I mean, but that's not necessarily exactly like if I was making the Series S, I wouldn't be excited because I got the what do you got left card. My point being is, right, so what I'm saying is you're right. The true determining factor to see if Sony takes away this generation the way they took off this generation is because it will come around the January, February, March time frame, right?
Exactly.
Right. Let me do a couple super chats, and then I want to get the, I know BG had something to say too. I'm going to try and pronunciate this. This is going to be a tough one. Mindogus Balsavicius says, but they don't really make PC exclusives that take advantage of faster rated VRAM, so not the best analogy. JD Gamer says, I say that to say, I apologize, I already read that one. JD says, Avowed, Fable, new, I believe he's saying State of Decay, Flight Simulator, all AAA. Yes, but Avowed and Fable are 2 to 3 years out. Flight Simulator, no, you're not going to get console guys to really stand behind you on that one. And State of Decay 3 is not coming out anytime soon.
It's only in pre-production.
Right, it's years out. David Howe says...
State of Decay 2 doesn't get me hyped for State of Decay 3.
That is extremely true.
Well, no, it's AAA this time, just like they said last time.
They said that last time, right. David Howe says, scale down on consoles and velocity architecture are just Microsoft's BS marketing terms. Halo Infinite, anyone? Sir X-Men says, Mooch, OG Xbox
Series, Craig.
Oh, you mean a game that was delayed for a year? Oh, okay. All right.
Well, only a year that we're aware of. Xbox, Sir X-Men says, Mooch, OG Xbox, which has a Blu-ray player for $150. JD Gamer says, except they bought 15 plus studios, and just like Sony for the first 3 years of PS4 life, it will take time to release those AAA games, and they've been announced. That, JD, we're right there with you, but we're talking about this holiday and walking into 2021, 2022. Right,
80% of the studios are AA. Plus, people get excited about the studios because a lot of them are good studios, but they also have Rare, and Rare hasn't done anything really. They're not the Rare of old. So just because they have these studios doesn't guarantee we're going to get amazing games, especially if they're going to be games more in, towards Game Pass, games. They're going to be full of microtransactions or be live service games. We have no idea what the hell these games are going to be. So I'll be excited for the games when I see what kind of games they're going to be. I like the idea that Avowed's coming out and Obsidian's doing it. That is exciting.
That is exciting.
Until I see it, I don't want to get too excited because I have no idea what it's going to be. And like I said, 80% of the studios they bought are AA at best.
And you know what?
Last games were trash. And I'm not saying that they can't become better or make better games, but based on what I've seen, it makes me hard to be excited for what they may come out with next.
We were just as apprehensive, too, when we saw Days Gone first released. A lot of people were ranting around. Right? And I said, everybody sit down. Okay, let's take it easy. This is for studio's first real crack at a AAA big boy. And I think they knocked it out of the park. Of course, Meta doesn't agree with me there. Aerodemus. Meta who? Aerodemus says, with all access, people are walking out the door with next-gen consoles for $25 to $35 and
That's
Game
not
Pass
new
with
either. They were doing that.
Well, MasterCard and Visa have been doing that for about 5 decades. You can do that anywhere you want. JD Gamer comes back and says, people have short memories. I remember owning my PS4 and it being an indie station for 3 years, and I can count to 10, which is the number of high-quality AAA first-party games released on PS4 over 7 years. Mr. Miracle says, Xbox is fine pumping out soulless... Right, it's true. Mr. Miracle says, Xbox is fine pumping out the soulless fodder into their rental service. Sony pumps out games with heart and something to always push the medium forward. I apologize because I'm reading all these because I fell behind. JD Gamer says, to Mr. Miracle, Sony pumps out crap like Knack, microtransactions, and bug-riddled Street Fighter V. Half of the games GTA 6.
They didn't make Street Fighter V.
Yeah, they did not. No, and JD Gamer says...
microtransactions?
He says, I don't know.
Doesn't have microtransactions.
Yeah, I was going to say, what game doesn't?
Microtransactions, go play Gears 5, $8 for a kill animation. Damn. Go play Sea of Thieves, man. You got to buy... They got so much crap in there to buy. Go wait for Halo Infinite. You want to see microtransaction? That thing's going to be filled with microtransactions. Yeah. Or how about Forza Motorsport? That's going to be a games as a service now, filled with microtransactions. I mean, if you want microtransactions, you're going to have to look mostly at Microsoft, because if you look at Sony as a first party and Nintendo, for the most part, they don't do. They don't do. So hold on, the console makers, follow me with this bot. Their first party usually don't have microtransactions in them, dude. Only Microsoft.
I said the most popular games, sir.
Well, then why would Microsoft? If that were true, why do Xbox? Then why do Xbox games have them?
To be fair, a lot of PlayStation games generation don't have microtransactions because they're mainly single player games. You just got to
exactly.
That is true. I mean, because
they would be easy to charge for skins and stuff like that, though. But they let you earn them and things like that.
You can put them in single player games. Fucking third party games do it all the time, giving us microtransactions. And look at Assassin's Creed. There's microtransactions in that. This is a single player game. There's no multiplayer.
Right, yeah, there was those. Yeah, I haven't played that game in a long time.
Well, my thing, and BJ used to do a lot on your channel about microtransactions back in the day when it was a pay-to-win kind of service. But nowadays, that's been so taboo. Developers don't go that way anymore. Now it's a cosmetic show, right? And I'll be honest with you, if you want to spend $150 on your favorite game, like Forte talks about it all the time. He's got a couple extra dollars in his pocket. He buys some silver, and he has fun with it, right? But guess what? That does two things. That makes Forte's character look better than my character in Destiny, A. B, maybe it encourages me to spend money on silver because I want to get something right. That's right.
But that's screenshots come across his timeline.
Exactly. But I mean, my point being is that's the whole idea. But the thing is, I don't understand why we're still getting upset with that. As long as it's not a pay to win, like that's not my prerogative if you want to have your character look better and you want to pay an extra $100.
Yeah, this is the reason. There's the reason I don't like it. Is because these should be things that you can unlock through playing the game. And what they do is they keep the coolest looking shit out of the game to sell it to you later. That's the whole point. Like they come out with all these badass designs for guns and armor and new sparrows, and they won't let you earn it in the game. No, if you want that cool shit, you got to buy it. So that's why I have a problem with. You want to make shit for the game? Yeah, but Nova, put it in the game.
Nova, hear me out for a second. When you go buy
the stuff that's in these games can be earned, you just have to grind out like crazy.
Well, no, but I think he makes a point there. But
that's the other point is that they artificially put grind into the game to incentivize you to not have to wait. It's like, man, I want that cool shit. It's taken too damn long. Let me just buy the shit I need to get it now.
Listen, I mean, all you guys on the East Coast will get this real quick. Like, but the thing is, though, you're right there. Supernova makes a point with that. But like, after you go buy a vehicle, what do they say to you? Like, you're like, I want those all-weather mats, right? I live in New York. Don't give me that material mat underneath my foot. That thing's gonna be like a swampy mess, right? So my point being is, what do they say the minute you say that? They're like, no problem, we'll get you those. Those will run you about $250 extra. You're like, what? Like, so my point being is that I get what you're saying.
You put that in for free, brother.
Well, yeah, you got to sit there and haggle. You do got to sit there and do your job and work. But you know what I mean? I get that.
But the difference is you can't really earn the shit for free in real life. In the game, you could earn it if they gave you the ability to earn it.
But like Forte said, you can earn it. You got to grind for ever.
Yes, but they are artificially putting the grind. They are putting the grind in the game on purpose to make it take longer.
Let me ask you to buy shit. Let me ask you this: were you happier when people had to go out and spend money on boxes and crates in order to get a lucky chance at actually getting something, or are you more happy that they're actually giving you a purchasable item that you could just buy without having to go through the whole hoopla of opening up a box and hoping you get it? Because trust me,
I think both are bullshit. I think both are bullshit. Whether it's a box, whether it's a slot machine, whether it's I have to pay them for the armor or skin.
You don't like microtransactions at all.
Right, they're bullshit.
Okay, I can't argue with you on that because I don't like them either. But I also deal with it for a fact that
that's what I'm saying. I'm dealing with it. Yeah,
most people don't like it, but if it's in the game, it's a shortcut for some people. It's certain times that I'll like. Listen, Destiny puts up a sheet at the beginning of every season of everything that's going to be available for Bright Dust only, or not Bright Dust only. You could buy it for Bright Dust and you can also just pay real money for it. And there's about 10% of the items they put up every season that you can only buy with money out of your own pocket. You can't buy it any other way. Mm-hmm. So I look at it, I'm like, okay, do I want these items? Do I want to save up for these items? Mm-hmm. And if I want to save, it gives me the option to do that. But that doesn't bother me because that is me spending the money how I want to spend it in the game that I play.
I don't care that they give you the option. I just don't like that they artificially put grind into the game to incentivize you to want to do
think that it's artificial just because they have it there. Sometimes it's not, because you can literally grind out some stuff if you're very intentional with the way you do it. There's ways to get around everything. Just because they add a microtransaction to the game doesn't say that they artificially inclined it in different ways. Everybody's not Ubisoft, let's put it that way, because Ubisoft is very known for doing that.
One thing I just want to say when it comes to Destiny 2, and when
And this isn't just a Destiny thing. This is
no, I know, but this is what we're using as an example, and this is something I look at as well, because like when Bungie left Activision, they became their own publisher, own developer. I knew, you saw by them reskinning certain things and offering up kind of like, you know, the new weapon, but it's just a reskin and stuff like that. I knew they were trying to get their feet under them to both be their publisher and their developer. So, you know, today's day and age, games are getting more and more expensive to make. And developers, they you know, they want to be as profitable as possible. Yeah. But they're also spending a lot more in developing and creating more content year over year, stuff like that. So I don't really feel like it's that bad of a thing when it comes to microtransactions, as long as they keep it from getting way too far. And some people, when it comes to D2, thought that Eververse was getting way too far, and they started reeling it back in a lot more. But I when it comes to microtransactions, like, if I like the dev, I want to make sure that, you know, they keep creating content and stuff. I don't really have a problem with aesthetic microtransactions, you know, ornaments, stuff like that, to make my character look different. It's if they really go too far. And Super, you do make a good point about the grind, but another thing is, and this is something that Bungie has been accused of as well, making the grindable armor not look as attractive as like the Eververse armor. And one of the ways that they kind of combated that is, like, they said that from here on out in Eververse, none of that armor is going to have any type of lore behind it within Destiny 2. So it might look a little bit shinier and stuff like that, but for people who get into the story and the universe of Destiny 2, you want that grindable armor because, you know, that relates back to like Nokris and what he's doing and this and that, and then, you know, things within the universe. So
Xbot, you went way too Destiny 2 on this show. I gotta be honest with you, and I love Destiny. Real quick, let me just go back to JD Gamer. You did, right? I think I did. I appreciate that, Xbot. JD Gamer says Sony's real AAA games are years out. Same difference. The thing I have a problem with that, JD, and JD, I really truly appreciate your commenting in the chat here, is that we see that Horizon Forbidden West, we see Miles Morales, we see certain games that are coming down the pipeline that they're going to release, probably, the rumors are, by at least holiday 2021.
Probably, the rumors are.
Well, it's better than the Avowed, where they're like, we'll see you later. You know, it's like, all right, well,
you're hanging your hat a lot on probably, most likely,
well,
and possibly.
Xbot, you're talking about Demon Souls, you're talking about Miles Morales, you're talking about Ratchet and Clank, you're talking about Horizon, you're talking about timed exclusive deals like Deathloop and Godfall. That's 6 games within the next those are bona fide to come out before June of next year. That's not bad when you're talking about third-party lineups coming in as well. When I've got people in the chat right now telling me, Mooch, I don't see why you're so hyped on PlayStation. I've got some great third-party games I'm looking forward to playing on my Xbox Series X. Well, I mean, those same games are going to be on PlayStation. So my point is that
people are also looking forward to Falconeer. They're looking forward to Scorn, to the Medium, stuff like that. That, you know, when you put up Godfall and say, like, I can't wait to play that, and somebody says, well, the Medium, I can't wait to play that, I kind of put them in the same realm together.
Okay, you know there's no gameplay in the Medium. You just walk around.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, there's no combat.
Yeah, and Scorn is a boring-ass game. I've seen some of the older footage. It doesn't look that great. Like, visually, it's very nice looking, though.
Yeah, I'm not fully sure what you do in Medium. Medium actually reminded me of Evil Within. That's what it looks like to me, but I'm not sure if it's actually gonna play.
It looks like a lot of solving puzzles and going back and forth between the two planes in order to solve puzzles and advance through finding out whatever the fuck's going on in the story. I think that's the main gameplay, is you're going back and forth between the two different versions of reality in order to progress through rooms or find keys or open up doors.
The main things that I'm noticing,
it looks cool, though. I'm excited for it.
People that are excited for PlayStation 5 are like, man, that Spider-Man, that Horizon games, and that Gran Turismo, that Ratchet and Clank, these names we know. Games we know. On the Xbox, they're like, fuck, I can't wait to play that Medium. And I just sit there. I would give them 1,000-yard stare in person if somebody said that to me in real life. I can't wait to play the Medium. I would stare at them through their soul. Because I tell you what, that is not a reason to buy an Xbox. I'm sorry. The Medium. Tell me what Team Bloober has done ever to give anybody any kind of indication that it's going to be a huge smash hit or even a good game, because they put out a bunch of average games. So I guess it does make sense for them to put something in Game Pass day and date for Xbox, right? Because that's what Game Pass has been known for. So again, tell me why the Xbox Series X and S should be bought, or what the reasoning behind it would be, and not old games. I'm talking about new games. Their launch lineup is Assassin's Creed.
The only selling point at this point is, they want it because it's new. That's the only selling point.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, exactly. But look, they announced their launch lineup. It's 4 games. It's Watch Dogs,
that's what I'm
Assassin's
saying.
Creed,
right
Yakuza, and Gears Tactics. Thank you for throwing us a bone after giving it to the PC crowd for a year first. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
it shows you what they think
ahead,
about
BG.
us.
So somebody in the chat said I was hating on Medium. I said it looked like Evil Within. I love Evil Within, both of them.
So did I.
Both of you. I don't know where that got translated to hate.
Evil Within is good though, but isn't that made by the guy who created? He created Resident Evil.
Yeah. So that wasn't hate. That was just saying that's what it that's what it looks like to me. It resembles that. And also, I just want to say with the four games, Ratchet, Demon Souls, Miles Morales, and Horizon. We can arguably safely say those games are coming out in the first 2 years. I don't think that's too crazy to say it's coming out in the first 2 years of the PlayStation 5.
3 out of 4 of those BG are coming out, I think, in the first 6 months.
Yeah, right. So we know what to expect. At least a year and a half, 2 years, right? But when I looked at the launch, when I look at the list of games that Xbox showed at their show, it was pre-production, conceptual phase. That game where it's like elves and deers. I forgot what it is.
Everwild game.
The developer said they're not even sure what the gameplay is yet. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, they made a very beautiful world and have no idea what the fuck you're gonna do.
They don't even know what the game is yet. So a lot of these games are extremely early. Like they are legit. Seem to be like 3-4 years out.
I can't wait to try that out.
And here's the thing. And here's the thing. I don't knock anybody for buying a console for what they believe is coming out in the much farther future. I'm fine with that. Like I say all the time, I buy a PlayStation usually not because of what's there at launch, because PlayStation doesn't have great launches. We understand that, right? Most consoles don't have great launch lineups. I buy a PlayStation for what I know is coming in the future. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with people buying for what's coming in the future, but I feel like you got to have at least something like major there at launch. And there's some third-party stuff I guess some people are excited for with the Xbox, but I personally don't see it myself.
PlayStation has earned that for you though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. Like I catch on to that now. I take the huge L for being a schmuck early on, right? Because I was hard on PlayStation. They didn't have the games I wanted. I bought an Xbox One because even though it was less powerful and more expensive, I had games that I was playing. I wanted those games. That's why I got one. And I was happy. And now people are shocked that I go where the games are and don't just pay allegiance blindly to Microsoft over it. Listen, Sony have failed to deliver. Never. Every generation, at some point, they've delivered amazing games. This generation, if you look at Xbox, could you even say there's a great Xbox game, like one for the ages that you absolutely have to play? Like, I don't think there is that. I don't think so.
For me, that is.
I hear what you're saying, but
nominated for Game of the Year. That was the only one.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe, and it's like an 82. Not the Metacritic's everything, but it's like an 82 rated or whatever. And I love that game, but at the same time, it's like every year, like what the game of my God of War. I played that game and it changed me this generation. Okay, like when I played Uncharted 2 last generation, even though it's a big Xbox 360 fanboy, I've said long before I started playing more PlayStation, and Mooch will back me up, I said Uncharted 2 was probably the best game last generation.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
I've said that. I've long said that, right? So each generation, Sony, even God of War, when I played God of War on the PS2, holy crap. Okay? Right. Like that franchise just has been incredible, and even some of the other stuff like the Jack and Daxters and things like that, and even like Crash on the original PlayStation and Tomb Raider, like those games were on PlayStation, whatever, you know what I mean? Like those games what's what it was all about. You were just playing these games that were great, and I'm just looking like Microsoft brought great games. I bought an Xbox for Halo. I bought an Xbox 360 when I saw Cliffy B on G4 playing Gears.
That's
okay?
right.
Like I knew it. Look, they had Call of Duty 2 at launch. That was a console exclusive. They had Project Gotham Racing 3. They had Perfect Dark Zero. They had Cameo. They had Quake 4. They had launch titles. Amped 3. They had some good Xbox One. I got that Forza Motorsport 5. Forza Motorsport 5, Dead Rising 3, Rise, Killer Instinct, Titanfall came out a few months after that, Sunset Overdrive a few months after that, Master Chief Collection around that same time, Forza Horizon 2. That first year was set, right? That was awesome. Titanfall I put hundreds of hours into, okay? Where is any of that from
crap?
Okay, Avowed looks like a cool game, like a cool Skyrim kind of thing, cool.
But it's years out.
You know, what's that?
It's years out. And
exactly.
But Skin Eastwood, shout out to Skin Eastwood, who's a big Xbox fan, and I've known him for many, many years. Great guy, great gamer. Mm-hmm. What Crap just said is what I was going to type out basically in the chat, which I appreciate Crap going through and saying. When you look at the 2013 lineup that Xbox has provided, and like BG was saying, the future window, the 2 years out from 2013 at the launch, they had a lot of games. I'm not saying they were the games that everyone liked in the chat, but I liked them. Crap liked them. Apparently Skin Eastwood liked them. Now it's the shoes on the other foot. You go where the games are. The reason that I liked Xbox so much back in 2013 was they had a lot to offer, I thought. And now I'm seeing that there's really not a lot there for the next 2 years. Now, there's a lot coming, but there's not a lot there right now. Let me just take care of a couple of the super chats, guys, then I'll give the mic back. I've fallen so far behind here. I want to see where I left off here. Sorry. Julian Beasley says, Mooch is king. Crap is okay, I guess. Well, Crap appreciates that. Tactical Gamer says, love the show. Arodemus comes back. He says, we're complaining about Microsoft for releasing their console launch info while we champion Sony, which we haven't seen the PS5 or gameplay from Spider-Man Miles Morales. But, Aerodemus, we have seen Ratchet and Clank in detail, and you can see that Insomniac is walking around with their chest out about what's coming up in Miles Morales. Phil Huckster's in the chat, and he says, Xbox Series S plus 1 terabyte SSD equals $520. Just get a PS5. JD Gamer comes back and says to Phil Huckster, $500 equals Xbox Series X, Game Pass, and EA Play Day 1. Kerry Howard says, Xbox has made it very clear they bought those studios strictly for Game Pass, and the Series X is a third-party console, period. PS5, Day 1, I'm good. Sir X-Man says, EA Play and Game Pass is going to be awesome. JD Gamer says, to Kerry Howard. Games. Right? Exactly. I'm with you on that one. To Kerry Howard, I'm getting them all, and by that I mean new Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, PS5, and building a new PC, an all AMD
someone
PC.
Shits money.
Wow, yeah, JD, I like it, JD.
Hook it up, JD. What do you do, man?
JD's got to move to New York. JD then comes and says, right? He says probably, most likely, Sony will delay some games. Listen, there's some delays. Like Kenna, Bridge of Spirits got delayed. There's going to be delays on both sides of the coin. Mastered UI Tony, and I said your name right this time, Tony. He says Ghost of Tsushima is $60 for everything make a good that will sell well. That's what Sony does. TrueWiddy says, how is Game Pass helping devs make money? It's cheap. What's the split for money for all the devs who put their game in the service, like the $500 million Halo game?
Not my problem.
Well, stop worrying about that.
I'm not worried about that so much. Shout out to the wonderful and beautiful
money.
Jessica Pham, who says, great show, Mooch. Jessica, thank you so much for your continued support and an amazing super chat. Thank you so much. Sin Vendetta says, I'm sorry, Crap, but it does look like you're going to have to wait for the games that you want on Xbox, and I totally understand if you won't. The great Sin Vendetta, always making sense.
2023 will be a hell of a year. I said that. I think 2023, 2024 is going to be a hell of a year for Xbox.
Absolutely.
Put it on record, man. 2020, dude, Xbox, Avowed, Fable, the games that I'm looking forward to, those are 2023 games. Easy, bro.
At least.
So
at least, I'm just saying.
Is that when you buying it, 2023?
Probably.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I always tell people don't buy it until they tell you what's worth buying it for.
The only reason I would consider buying an Xbox Series X, and I wouldn't buy a S any day of the week, but possibly an X would be if they do a big trade-in at GameStop for because I have two X's, Xbox One X's. So if they offered something like $200 off or something, I might, just as a content creator.
Pretty much almost a certainty.
Yeah, well, I mean then it would be worth it. I mean, if I could pick one
right now, it's 175 right now, so it's probably going to be close to 225.
Yeah, I could easily. I'm going to trade one in easy, and then I could pick one up for $300. That's a steal.
Well, here, Crap, before we go to our next topic, I'll let you handle this one here. Bay Area says, Crap always cries on Twitter about Xbox doesn't produce new IP. Then brags about Gran Turismo 7, Ratchet and Clank 20, and Horizon 2. He talks out of both sides of his mouth. I'm sure that you can... Crap, I think you've explained yourself enough on that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to look at it, here's the difference, all right? Like, Sony, we're going to get a Days Gone 2. The first one sold well, didn't maybe score well.
That's right.
But they believe in their developers, and so they're going to do a sequel. I loved it. But that's a new AAA IP that took a lot of risks. Big open world, a lot of fun. Death Stranding, Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, and nobody can knock that, right? Those are new AAA IP. Hell, Ghost of Tsushima is a new AAA IP that come out this year at the end of the cycle. That's incredible to me that such quality stuff is coming out this late in the generation. Microsoft, on the other hand, trust me, you're never going to see a sequel to Quantum Break. You're never going to see a sequel to Rise. You're never going to see Sunset Overdrive. They blew that. But Phil Spencer's like, well, it'd be up to Insomniac to do a sequel. And Insomniac's Ted Price was like, we're waiting on Microsoft to give the go-ahead. Just like Alan Wake 2,
absolutely.
Right? Phil's like, they've got to want to make it. And then Remedy's like, hell, we've been begging Microsoft to let us make it.
The games just don't sell well on Xbox. For whatever reason, Xbox gamers don't support any of the games. They don't buy the fucking games. So then the games don't get sequels. And I don't understand why it is that Xbox gamers just don't support games.
I don't get it. You know what? I'll tell you this much. When they had Sunset Overdrive, which was one of my favorite games this generation, when that game went to Games with Gold, I couldn't get any of my friends to download it for free. They're like, that looks stupid. I'm like, download it, please. It's a good game.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Like, people literally wouldn't download the game. I really think that there's just certain games, like that game, if they were to remaster that 4K 60, whatever, on PS5 with all the DLC and stuff, I bet it would sell crazy. It would definitely probably triple the sales of what Xbox version had.
That was one thing me and Crap were at. We were always on the same page about throughout like all the years that we've been kind of like podcasting together and stuff. Because for some rhyme or reason, Sunset Overdrive, Quantum Break, and that was during the whole resolution time. People coming up and like, is it a good game? Because I heard it's 900p, and I'm like, what does the resolution have to do about if the game is good or not? Like, these games were absolutely
I tried to tell people, I was like, look, Control could have been Quantum Break 2, easily. Easily. Honestly, it could have been. I just don't understand.
Well, Crap, the myth here in the super chat, this one's got me laughing. Not many make me laugh. He says, money changes people. Hot women change people, children change people, etc. But God of War changed crap. So I'm sorry. So thank you, The Myth. That's great. Vedger says, shout out to Supernova. He got me here. Great show. And Glinzer, he says, here's hoping Xbox's future doesn't look as dark and hazy as California skies right now. I hope everybody in California is doing all right. It is pretty rough out there right now.
I saw that, man. I'm like, whoa.
It is. It's wild out there right now.
That's crazy, man.
I'll go.
But the harder part is like people, and even when it comes to like making video games, like they assume once we get to 2021 that all of a sudden all this stuff's gonna stop, right? Like it's not gonna work that way. Who the hell knows how much longer these developers are gonna have to work from home, or people in general? Like like just because we go to a new year, that doesn't necessarily mean that suddenly all that stuff's going to stop. So we don't know. Like we could see a lot more delays. We could see a lot more issues, and we're just going to have to deal with it.
No, I agree. I'm going to go to BG on this one. So BG, I'm going to switch subjects here. I mean, it's kind of staying on subject, but it's just slightly deviating. So there's a big talk about September 18th, which is going to be this upcoming, I believe, Monday, guys. Is my dates right? No, it's not Monday. Is it next Monday? When the hell is the 18th?
That's Friday.
Friday, thank you. That's when I guess there's something at PAX where they're saying that there's going to be whatever. It'll be, of course, something done, not live naturally due to the pandemic, etc. But they're saying that Sony's going to reveal their release date and their price. And now the latest rumors, they're saying as a reaction, BG, as a reaction to what Microsoft has done, that we're looking at a physical disc PS5 at $499 and a all digital edition coming in at $399 to be aggressive and be that sweet spot between the two. Are you buying into that, BG, or you're still holding reserve and thinking that they're just going to match the $499 and maybe go $449 with the digital?
So see, we gave Xbox a lot of shit in 2013, whatever year it was. for having the more expensive console, but also having the slightly weaker console, right? So that's why I'm thinking like, even though the game, people are going to buy it no matter what, because the consensus is that most people believe that PlayStation has just the better first party games, and people buy it mainly for that, right? So I'm not saying that they can't get away with it, but I feel like going for the $449 price, and I can't remember like any modern console ever launching at that in between price. They usually always go for $100 intervals. I think,
and you know why they do that?
Right.
You know why they do that, BG, is because people see the first number and they associate it with that. So you see the Series S and you associate $200 with it, even though it's $299. So what they would want to do is get $399. So people associate it with at least a 3. If you go into the 4s, people are going to assume that's a $200 difference because that's the way people's brains work. So there was I read some kind of article on why they don't do the half $100 point. Even though I think maybe play. Yeah, exactly. So, I would assume just like you, man, like $399 would have to be where that digital, they're going to have to take some loss on that, I think.
Yeah. So I think that if they launch the physical at 500, the digital at 400, it'll still do very well. But I think like if they ever did do the unconventional thing at that that middle price point, it could definitely do great to like undercut the X a little bit. Because I predicted that. I think the digital is definitely going to be more than the S. They're not matching that
absolutely.
price point.
Oh, yeah,
they're not doing that.
No,
they're not doing that.
I mean, not that anybody in this chat and on the panel doesn't realize this, but I'll just state it for the obvious. The PS5 Digital Edition is a 1-for-1 exact carbon copy of the PS5 physical hardware, physical disc. So I mean, reduction. I'll agree with you there, BG. There's no way they're going down to the $299 price, but the $399, it's almost like that fairy tale we all got when we were kids, right? That's the sweet spot, because now you're saying, and this is something I tweeted out the minute we saw the S's reveal, and tell me if it doesn't make sense, please. I have no problem being wrong here. But the $299 price tag, I think we'll all agree, is an amazing price. But once you look at the hardware, and if Sony does do $399, it kind of takes a little bit of the polish off that $299 glamorous price of the S. Because
for an extra $100, you're getting a true next generation machine.
It's exactly my point. I mean, we've all been to the movies. I've gone to the movies, and I've said, I'm determined I'm only getting a medium-sized soda. And the lady says to me, for 50 cents, you can get one that you actually can sit in and drink your way out. And I'm like, are you serious? and literally before I leave, I'm leaving with the supersize for 50 cents more. So what I'm trying to say to you is, at the end of the day, $299 is extremely attractive. But when you look over at the box and see what you're getting in the other one, plus the games, I mean, you do say for $100, I'm getting a lot more for my money. I know that doesn't fit every consumer, but I think that fits a large portion of the hardcore.
That's the market that Xbox was targeting at that point in time. And another thing you got to think about: not only are they different spec-wise between the PlayStation 5 all digital and the Series S, they are a lot different size-wise as well. For people that want something little to just throw in there and not even like
that whole argument makes no sense to me. If you're putting a console in your
size is a big deal.
You're not putting your console in your pocket and going to your buddy's house. Like, it doesn't really matter.
No. Microsoft was advertising the Series S.
I know.
Put it in your backpack. Take it with you wherever you go.
Go into a rooftop party.
I don't see size being a determinant factor. I don't see like, oh wait, that one's better, but this one is smaller. I'll take the small one.
Supernova, you don't party on the rooftops like they do over there in Redmond.
Let me put it in my fanny pack, Mooch. Jeez.
Yeah. Oh, God. How many rooftop parties you been to, BG, in New York City? Not many, probably, I'm assuming.
I mean,
definitely not.
We don't do that here.
I'm a paraplegic. I ain't getting to the roof.
That's what I'm saying. We're not going to the roof.
The only thing they stated was 1440, 1080p, 1440, 60 frames to 120, right? Of course, they're going to have a smaller SSD and stuff like that. Like, that's still a great value that, a lot of people are going to be like, I'm not paying $100 more for that.
The thing is, Bot, is this
all this stuff right here?
This is a digital console. Right. It's a digital-only console, and they're really hyping up Game Pass for it. Something tells me they should have just put the terabyte in there. You know?
Yeah, they should have.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, I know we saw that leak where supposedly it's going to be over $200 for the 1 terabyte expansion. That might add up. For the simple fact is, it seems like if they would have went for the full terabyte in that, it probably would have raised the price $100. Right, so you think $100 per, per half terabyte for 500 gigs. That's, and it is what it is. Like, people are just gonna. I hope people are careful. Like, I will never tell people how to spend their own money. You can buy what you want. When I give my opinion, it's my opinion for me, right? And if you feel that way too, great. But if not, like, I'm not gonna tell you how to spend your hard-earned money. That's on you, right? But just at least be cautious about this Series S for that reason is. If you want it and you got kids for Game Pass or whatever, just realize that you're probably going to have to do another couple $100 pretty quickly for that expansion because you're only going to, or they're going to have to keep deleting and re-downloading games. And in my case, I got shitty internet. So for me to delete a game, people wonder why I have 16 terabytes on my Xbox One and
transfer between a mechanical into the SSD.
Yes, but you can, but I mean, still that takes time. And even for that, like people, well, it's not confirmed, but I mean, you've got to figure that thing's going to be at least 150.
No,
right?
they already said that you can use your old hard drive to be able to store the games. So you would think you'd be able to transfer games from another hard drive to your. Because how are you going to get the games on your system? They think you're just going to re-download.
Only problem, Forte, is your old games look better on the current system than this. Yes, apparently.
Yeah, so. Like you'll have to
Yeah,
like if I want to play Avengers on PS5.
Why the fuck would you want to do that?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like if I want to play it on PS5, I'll have to, download it off the hard drive or whatever, like on my Xbox, because I have like 1,050 games on Xbox and like almost 500 on PS4. So, like I have the expanded the USB drives, but those aren't going to take advantage of the next gen things unless they're on the solid state drives.
I think a lot of people are really blowing that part out of proportion because I made a video on that like 3 days ago and half my comment section was like, damn, that's a lot for that hard drive. But guess what? I'm just going to take my hard drive I got now, plug it in and transfer games when I have to. And I just think we're at a point now where a lot of people are kind of conscious of that. Just say, I just use what I got and transfer when I need to. And the biggest thing, a lot of people
will they transfer faster? Does anybody know? Because I got to be honest,
it's probably going to transfer. Who knows? It depends on what kind of hard drive you got. Like I have an SSD for mine that's hooked up to my system now, so it probably would transfer faster. But in any case, a lot of people are going to be like, dude, I'd rather just transfer my game than buy the bigger hard drive and move and go back and forth when I have to. But I think the one thing that a lot of people just got to realize is these consoles, when it comes to buy what you want, honestly, that's mostly what it just comes down. If you until they give you a reason to buy the system, don't buy it. That's the first thing. I also think we just got to get to a point where we stop trying to tell people and convince people of why they should be buying what they're buying. Because I think that's a big part of it. Like, to me, I hear people saying why they're buying the system, then I hear people telling them why they shouldn't buy it. Well, why are you telling people not to buy something that they want to personally buy?
Buy what you want. Just be conscious. This is a talk show. People don't get that. We're going to talk about this shit.
Well, I'm not talking about in a podcasting form, but when I see people going back and forth on Twitter about it, I'm like, this person obviously wants this system, and you're sitting up here arguing with them about something that they obviously want. So
that's anything in life, man. Like even sports people, someone tells you why the team they like, and they tell you why your team sucks and why you should like their team. That's just what happens.
And then I point to the 5 Super Bowls or 6 Super Bowls that the Patriots won over the course of the last 20 years.
Oh, you a Patriot?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, Patriot fans all day.
You just fell down on BG's list. That's it.
That's fine. Patriot fans all day, man.
Real quick, I don't mean to go on a tangent. When did you become a Patriots fan?
1998.
Like a likely story. Anyway,
Drew Bledsoe was the quarterback, and plus, I truly fell in love with it when Tom Brady was there because Tom Brady went to Michigan.
Everybody was always a Patriots fan with Drew Bledsoe. I don't believe y'all. I don't believe y'all, but okay.
Hey, I follow this dude on Twitter.
I have a Drew Bledsoe jersey from before Tom Brady got there, and then Tom Brady just happened to go there as a quarterback after he left Michigan. Michigan is my favorite football team, and he went to the Patriots. I was like, cool, and we just happened to win a Super Bowl the first year he started.
And they just happened to cheat.
Giants.
hey, crap! I'm sorry that Baltimore let you down a couple of times.
Listen, all our teams let us down a couple of times.
Hey, listen, man, you
They
gotta
beat us,
tell me
though.
what, man.
They beat us though.
They did. Y'all were undefeated last year, and then we showed you what was up. But the thing that I want to point out is I feel like the sky's the sports real quick, right? The sky's the limit for Jackson. You know what I mean? Like that guy is just I never seen.
Not after watching that game last night from Kansas City.
Listen,
Jesus.
Man, what the fuck did I do, man?
Who is?
right.
I gotta be
I want to
honest.
get back to storage. I want to say something about storage when y'all done, but
Yeah,
you know.
well, okay, yeah, I'll just end it there. But I'm just gonna say, man, I'm
We'll
happy.
talk offline. Crap. We'll talk offline.
No, go. No,
So happy
BG,
that-
go ahead. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah,
Sorry,
go
I thought
ahead.
you were done.
So the only thing I was going to say, personally, storage is not a factor for me, regardless of like whether it's the S or the PlayStation 5 and the 825. And how much does the S, the 1S have? How much is that going to have?
512.
512.
More like 380.
So I guess I'm one of the rare people, because like everybody thinks I'm crazy for doing this. I never keep games on my console after I beat them. I have one game downloaded on my PlayStation right now, one game, and it's Fall Guys, and I don't play Fall Guys, right? It's not like because I just don't. I rarely ever go back to games, right? To games that I beat.
Really?
It almost never happens. So once I beat a game, especially once I platinum it, it's deleted. I just deleted like Last of Us. I platinum that, deleted it. Last of Us Part 2 deleted that. Ghost of Tsushima, I platinum that, deleted. So I have one game, and I've never had like more than 4 games downloaded at one time on my PlayStation ever.
Yeah.
So,
I'm one
BG,
of the rare guys.
I've seen you
That's
say
how
this
I
on
am at
Twitter.
this point.
I've seen you say that a bunch. Now that reminds me that I try to do that, BG, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the reason a lot of people like it is it's convenient, right? You just click on it, you play the game again if you want to. BG, you doing it that way is kind of like, when you start your first day of work anywhere you work, and someone's like, here's how I do my files, and they literally got like every day, every month in a file, every email associated with that in that file. Like, you're organized like that. I think a lot of people just play the game and they forget about it. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of times, like, that extra space is just kind of comfort factor. And that's why I have this topic up right here. The Xbox Series SX, these Seagate expansion cards are rumored to be extremely expensive. So like a lot of people were saying, you guys are all sitting here. Everyone now, listen, BG, you will admit though, right?
I want to point this out too. This isn't a thing where we're bashing Xbox.
No.
I fully expect the PlayStation's
gonna be expensive too. Yes.
In fact, if they would have like a 2 terabyte PS5 for $700, I'd pay that.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing though. But would you guys ride with me on this one? If the Xbox Series S is only 512, I mean, and you don't have that kind of like dedication like BG does, and he just beats a game, he gets rid of. Like a lot of us don't. Like you have to get an expansion relatively soon, right? You don't have to buy it the day that it comes out, but you're probably
fucking Call of Duty is going to be like 200 gigs for that game,
right? Like that's a great example, and a lot of people are, well, it'll be the Call of Duty box. Well, you better buy yourself an expansion pack. You're going to need an expansion card like pretty more sooner than later.
Each of these platforms supposedly have technology that are going to make the game smaller. So if they can make them dramatically smaller,
yes,
they're not dramatically smaller. Like it's supposedly somewhat smaller, but not like.
But
it's
Nova
a decent amount smaller because they're removing redundancies on the hard drive by being able to remove thousands of copies of files.
So I want to see that,
It's going to be better compression. Go ahead, BG.
And Call of Duty, I was just saying, everybody always points to Call of Duty. Call of Duty is not the norm. That's an anomaly that every release they make for Call of Duty is another 50 gigs or something like that.
5 might be 100 as well, or somewhere along that line.
I think I know it was on PC.
Halo's up there.
Realistically, on the S, you're only going to be able to fit 4 5 games, maybe. Realistically,
well, it depends on the games. It depends on the games.
I know Destiny is close to like 150 at this point.
Yeah, if you're doing Destiny, Call of Duty, Gears, or Halo, you're not even.
That's a game I deleted.
So
Destiny.
You're not going to get 4.
Rightfully so, crap.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Let me do a couple more super chats here, guys. I appreciate it. I got Panthorium. He says, it's best to trade your current consoles in the GameStop toward next-gen consoles because the SSD expansions, card wars are going to kill our wallets. We'll talk a little bit more with that with Forte on a later topic. Eagles fan 76 says, crap every game you keep quoting how low Did you have to wait for, or how long he meant to say, you have to wait for PS4 launch. You keep talking the same God of War came out.
Hey,
after
was I not hard on
2013.
PlayStation 4 for the lack of games for years?
You were.
I certainly was. Keep that
absolutely
same energy. Isn't that what everybody says nowadays? And I did.
I hate that expression, but yes, it is out there. Marty Bison, he says, have a great show, guys. Stay safe. Appreciate that. The great Marty Bison. Dugas Balsevicius. It's just, I think he just put letters together. Here's some, right? At this point,
his hand across the keyboard.
Right? He
office space part. You know what I'm talking about, Mooch?
Yes.
Like,
not gonna.
Yeah, you know exactly. Yeah,
exactly.
Not gonna work here anymore.
Not gonna work here anymore. So here's some perspective. He says you could play. I believe he's saying God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, and Last of Us 2 for 1 year, or play 100 Game Pass games for the same price 1 year. Is this even a discussion? Yeah, but that's like saying I can go out and get a heck of a steak at a steakhouse, or I can have an infinite number of McDonald's fries. I'll take the steak. Sir X-Man says they get me hooked on Blu-ray 4K, not giving it up. Panthorium, he comes back and says SSD expansion, Xbox picture leaked, Microsoft Store 219. Yeah, we saw that. Shout out to JD Gamer. He's back. He says size matters in the Asian market. We were talking about the the Xbox Series S and the portability when JD did mention that. And JD, don't get me wrong.
Doesn't matter in Asian markets.
That's the thing. I was saying Xbox doesn't matter in the Asian market, so it doesn't matter that they made the console compact. Carlos Crespin says the Phil Spencer worship needs to stop for good. Oh. I agree with that. Mastered UI Tony says PlayStation's
so
been winning.
Though. How?
Yeah,
let those people live.
How do you break free? How do you break free from that? I just trust me, it takes a lot of patience. You gotta, you know what I mean? You gotta trust me. It, I don't know. Like for me personally, looking back, you just think, wow, I was such a douche. You know what I mean? Like me, I'm talking about myself. Like God, I was so insufferable. Like this guy, and then now there's people that are just as bad. Like this guy does no wrong, man. The guy wears a shirt that says gaming on it, and and he smiles, and next thing you know, he's pointing at people, and they're just under some kind of spell. I have never seen anything like it in my life. I don't get it either. Hey, and you don't want to. You know what's even worse? Go to his Twitter anytime he tweets something and look at the comments after his tweet. You literally have people going, "I love you more than my dad, Phil. Hey, Phil, when are you gonna come here? Phil, I want to touch you, Phil. I'm kidding you not. Mooch, did you see those tweets?
Yeah,
they're fainting like people at a fucking Michael Jackson concert.
Yeah, they're like, Phil, come to Saskatchewan, Phil. We love you. We love you here, man. Phil, we can't wait to see you. Like, honestly, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It is a
rock star. That rock star status, man.
I guess so.
He is.
He puts those different shirts on for a reason, I guess.
Mastered UI Tony says PlayStation's been winning Super Bowls for years. Sir X-Man says, Mooch, are you going to miss your HDMI pass through for sports? Used to love that. I honestly will miss that because I've always set up my Xbox as my primary gaming system because I can always
have it hooked up that way.
I do.
Now?
Yeah,
Phil.
I do. I watch TV through the Xbox. I like that, man. Well, listen, you're sitting there, especially during we're going through a situation globally here. But I mean, I'm into sports. I love sports, right? So I'm watching.
Yeah, I do
but then,
too. I be to my kids
but Forte, you hit me up, and
who's
somebody
on
sends you a
HDMI
message. But somebody hits you up with a message, or you see someone just hops on. You're like, oh, that's who I always play Destiny with, or that's who I always played. Like you would it just kept you in tune with the community. So I always liked that. I'm not saying that everybody had to do it, but it's something that I truly like.
It was cool when they used it, but they don't use it anymore.
Well, they're not using it for Snap, but it integrated into your media.
And that's what I truly miss with Snap. I thought that was ingenious. It's like when you were dealing with these long Destiny load times, you could snap over and watch TV.
Yes, that's true. That's extremely true.
But
JD
according to them,
Gamer,
only 1% of people used it.
Yeah,
So
that's the thing. Nobody was using it. JD Gamer says
nobody was using it.
I'm looking here real quick. He says, JD says, at Forte, you're supposed to be a Lions fan. Sin Vendetta says, sports! Shout out to Sin Vendetta. Broderick Carlson says, I have a 4K TV, but it only supports 120 hertz at 1080p. I don't want a new TV.
We got a super chat from Phil Huckster.
Yeah, that's the second one. Wouldn't a Series S be good enough for that? JD Gamer says, Xbox JP doesn't matter today, but things can change. And then Phil Huckster's back. He says, saw NVMe Generation 4, and NVMe. I don't know, Generation 4, close to
hard drive.
His hard drive close to PS5 speeds for about $180 on Newegg, not proprietary. The open market will give us good competitive prices, performance over price.
I agree with that 100%.
Absolutely. So let me do this. So BG, I hope you're ready for this because I know your reactions video was just about hysterical to everyone that watched it. I got to ask you, man. What was your thoughts on Ubisoft's forward presentation?
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Please, do it with the same energy that you had in that video, bro. I was
man.
Yes, please bring that.
Listen, man.
Ubisoft. What part of the show did it happen at?
So the only good thing about Ubisoft at this point is Watch Dogs. That's the only thing personally to me that's good about them. Ubisoft was actually one of my favorite developers last generation. Now, to me, they're like a bottom mid-tier studio, and which is crazy.
It's wild.
They parade around Sam Fisher like he's just some thought, just some, just parading him around, putting him in every other game as a cameo, whoring him out like he's not like an important character in one of your most important IPs. Just blatant disregard and disrespect for him. Every Ubisoft game feels like every other Ubisoft game. When you play one, you feel like you're playing them all at this point. Whether it's Siege, whether it's Far Cry, even Watch Dogs, which I like Watch Dogs, but every game feels like it's in the same universe pretty much. They just feel so samey. And even their new stuff. The stuff that they're creating, it's like they're phoning it in. Like they get to the conceptual phase and they just green light everything. No matter how generic the idea is, no matter how boring it is, no matter how dull, it's not creative at all. And they just like, it's on the drawing board. Let's do it. And it's
Riders Republic, baby.
I just feel like they're a factory now. They're just a factory that releases games, and it's not about quality. Because what is their staff like? I mean, they have different studios, different Ubisoft studios, and aren't they like well over 1,000 staff at all these different studios combined? Yes. Well over 1,000. They're not creating quality. They're just creating quantity at this point when it comes to their games.
That's why I've given up.
It's copy and paste. They find a template that somewhat works, and they just start pumping out that game over and over and over again until it doesn't work anymore.
Am I the only one that feels like that's why Assassin's Creed has become like the farthest thing that I give a shit about every year when people talk about it?
It's garbage. Care. It's terrible.
Yeah. It's not even about assassins anymore. You're fucking assassin.
I have a little bit more hope in it now that the fact that they had that turnover at the top with the guy that I forget his name, that had the whole incidents and stuff that was going on there. They even said that was the person that was in charge of basically the direction of what the games went in and basically had that Ubisoft formula. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. Pretty much any game that Ubisoft releases over the next couple of years, you're going to get that same type of atmosphere and gameplay. But I'm hoping that whoever starts taking over this stuff changes it up, because that's the one thing I hate the most about their games.
Yeah.
And I was saying on a podcast yesterday, they need to let some of these franchises sit for a while and bring us something new. We've had too many fucking Assassin's Creed games. Let Assassin's Creed sit, bring back Splinter Cell. Let these other franchises that we've had 1,000 of them, let it sit for a while. Give us something new. Bring us a new IP and not the next version of a game we've played every year for the last fucking 10 years. Give us some new shit.
I don't know what's up with Assassin's Creed, man. We've been talking about that game. Shout out to Rand. Been talking about that game the entire generation. And he got to a certain point where he's like, man, I don't even want to talk about it no more. And then you got this whole, like BG said, the whoring out of Sam Fisher. And I'm like, what? Comic books, first free-to-play games, and he's Siege, I like him. Now, granted, I love him in Siege because I think that fits the character narrative, but it's like outside of that, it's like, what are we doing with this character at all? It's like,
he's been in Wildlands.
Twice. But he was in Wildlands twice. So the biggest
terrible game.
The biggest problem
for me. The point of having him be a playable character in a first-person game, though, like he's supposed to be in third-person games.
Yeah, the problem for me is Naughty Dog has kind of written a formula that I think that character would fit perfectly in, but they already wrote that story with the game they were doing. It is like, I don't know. It's like I know people that actually played the version of Splinter Cell that nobody's ever seen. But we don't know if it's actually going to ever release. Is it something that they said is too ambitious for last generation, but now they're basically just trying to string us along until they get to the next version of what they can do with Splinter Cell? We already know Michael Ironside is coming back and reprising his role as the character, which is great. Yes. But at this point, who cares? Because you're not showing us anything, but you just keep giving us these offshoot versions of them.
Maybe they couldn't figure out a way to make a new Splinter Cell a games as a service.
And
that's what I've heard from people.
And Blacklist is an amazing. Blacklist is one of the best stealth games ever made. I give it that. It's one of the best stealth games ever made, and y'all just sit on that and has been stagnant, not making anything from it. I'm like, I don't understand. Everything else you annualize, not to say that Splinter Cell should be annualized, but you're making everything else. The number one game fans have been asking you for, you're like, no, hold these cameos and shut up. Huh?
we're gonna give you Prince of Persia. And we're not even going to remake. We're not even going to remake it. We're just.
So I was excited about Prince of Persia, and then I saw BG's reaction.
They're calling that shit a remake. It looks like they reskinned it.
To be honest, remake. It looked like 343 Studios was working on it.
Oh,
to me.
You saw Craig? Did Craig do a cameo?
Low blow. Here's Craig in the balls, man. Low blow.
Wow. Bro.
So
they outsourced that game apparently.
But how do you release a game like that called a remake at the same time that we're getting Final Fantasy VII remake and Resident Evil 2 remake?
Right.
Well,
Tony Hawk.
Tony
this is no fucking remake. It's reskin. That's Prince of Persia reskin.
Right there.
Yeah. What about now? A lot of people were making the one thing that I saw was a shining light was Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Humans.
I was interested in that.
People were interested in it because they were saying it was a Breath of the Wild clone. Yep. But
the first name was better though.
What was the first name, Supa?
Gods and Monsters.
Gods and Monsters. That's right. But I mean, did they show enough? I didn't see the entire. I watched a lot of people's reactions to it. I didn't watch a whole lot of the show. Immortals Phoenix Rising. Did it show you enough that got you interested for it? That you said it did.
Well, I like the art style.
Yeah, I like the art style. I'm a huge Breath of the Wild fan. I mean, it's like, to me, only problem with Breath of the Wild is it was empty at some points.
That was my biggest complaint. There was nothing in the world.
Yeah, it's nothing in the world, but the thing is, the Zelda adventure in me kind of that's the thing that people don't realize. If you got good gameplay and the game is solid overall, you're willing to overlook a lot of crap. So
it's true.
The fact that it was empty was great, was terrible, but the game was great. And when I saw this game, I was like, wow, this looked like it's got a lot more stuff going on in the world. You got different environments. You're toying in the whole Greek mythology thing. And it kind of ties into like what I did with God of War, because that's the one thing I really love, the direction they went in God of War with the Greek mythology and stuff. So I'm just hoping that this game delivers a full package. It is not something that it's going to be piecemealed out to us over the course of the generation through updates and stuff. As long as it's not that, I'm 100% in on the game, because I really like the art style that they did and the premise of the game being set in.
Yeah, no, it looks cool, but it being Ubisoft, you always got that thought in the back of your mind, like how they're going to fuck this up. Like, what are they going to do? It's going to fuck this game up. It looks cool. Republics look really cool too, but every time I looked at it, I was like, man, every outfit those characters got on looked like a buyable, purchasable item in the game. I was like, I see about $10,000 worth of microtransactions going down a hill right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's basically what I saw when I saw that game.
Yeah, so just my notes on it. There was Immortals, Phoenix Rising, there was Riders Republic, Prince of Persia, Sands of Time remake, Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Why is he bringing out Scott Pilgrim, man?
I don't know.
Because
I have no idea.
It's delisted. You can't buy it anywhere. Remember, they delisted that game on the 360 on the Xbox Live Store like 6-7 years ago, and you couldn't buy it anymore. So they probably got some of the licensing back so they could actually bring it back, which I'm actually cool with, because a lot of people really love that game and didn't get a chance to buy it or play it.
I never had a chance to play it.
Yeah, it's actually a really, really cool game if you didn't get a chance. So the fact that you'll get a chance to do it now is actually really good. But I still think above all the games they showed there, Watch Dogs was by far the king of all of it. The fact that they're bringing back Aiden Pierce, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I don't like that they're bringing him back as a DLC character. So
Yo, Forte gonna have a
another
whole
thing.
crew of grandmas in that game. They're gonna be all grandmas. Yeah.
Don't try to do a lip test on me to see if people actually like that Xbox. That's probably what you were gonna do.
I do what I want, sir.
I got a few super chats here, and I do want to switch topics. So X-Man says, Forte, Sony's going to have a snap feature in PS5. There's a patent that was released that Sir X-Man's talking about that was covered by various different channels. It wasn't snap. It was more of a picture-in-picture versus taking up a quarter of the screen the way that Microsoft did it. But there is a possibility of that in the future.
That could be tied to the whole like the whole achievement thing. I mean, if they actually rolled through that with like the asking the game for help and it pulls up a nice little window that does picture in picture and shows you how to do it.
Buy this sword for like $20, man.
I mean, if they do that, but you know, who knows at this time with these systems during this next generation.
Very true. And then Mr. Miracle, he says, hottest game on the planet is on PC and PlayStation in Fall Guys. Do we really think we'll go to the system that doesn't have it? Sir X-Man comes back and says,
it'll probably eventually go to Xbox.
Well, you know, I think eventually the answer is definitely eventually crap, but there was actually an article that came out
Game Pass game.
and says that it'll go to Switch and it'll go to everything else before it comes to Xbox. So it almost looks like maybe they went to Xbox, one of those situations where you hear later down the road, and guys, I'm just paraphrasing here, where they went to Xbox and Xbox passed on it. And
so like, fuck you guys.
right. And then, you know, Sony and these other,
You know what the funny thing is, Mooch? Before that game even came out, me and you both go, that's the next soccer cars.
That's exactly what we said. I'm like, that is going to be the next soccer cars. Everyone's
mean
going to be playing Rocket League. Yes.
Yeah, we called it soccer cars.
Soccer cars.
Well, we couldn't play it on Xbox, so it was soccer cars. Shout out to Sir X-Man. He says, bring me Rainbow Six like Rainbow Six Vegas with better graphics, updated looking characters, and all the play modes like in Rainbow Six Vegas. I'll be there. Sir X-Man, thank you. I appreciate that. So, you know, the other thing that was kind of announced that, and it was funny, and all the talk we did with the Xbox Series S, when we started the show tonight, we all breezed over it. I was wondering if anybody would bring it up, but you guys didn't, so I'll bring it up now. EA Play, which, by the way, they changed the name of it, but it's EA Access. That's all it really is. It's not, you don't get the day and date games. We'll join Game Pass this fall for the Ultimate subscribers, So if you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber, you will get EA...
console.
On console, you will get EA Play, which is EA Access. That doesn't mean you get EA Games Day and Date. You will get the rights to the 10-hour demo or trial, and you'll also, I believe, get the 10% off that EA offers if you purchase the game.
And then they have the Vault or whatever.
And the Vault. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. So I'll speak for myself, and then I'll pass the mic to Supernova here. I'll be honest with you. I subscribed and got into EA Access the day it was available.
I did too.
The absolute second that my subscription was due for renewal, I dropped it like a bad habit. And I don't ever regret it. I
dropped it because I was only literally buying one EA game a year.
Yeah, I forgot EA Access was even a thing until this announcement.
You know, if they would have been making great games, like, you know, left and right, it would have been different. But even the games that I loved last gen, like the Mass Effects and Dragon Age, like those were subpar this generation. Like, what the hell? They stopped doing Titanfall, which Titanfall 2 and 1 were great, and then they didn't make a third one. Battlefield, I thought, fell off big time. So
they haven't had a great portfolio this generation, and you know, crap, you kind of laid out perfectly. Supernova, were you excited to hear this? Did you think that this was more of an incentive to get Game Pass? For me, it wasn't less of a reason to get Game Pass, but it certainly wasn't a reason for me to get Game Pass if I didn't have it.
I don't think it's a huge deal. Like I made a video about it, how it is adding additional value, and it is more value because it's more games. It's more games. But for me personally, I don't give a shit about it because it's more games that I either already played or that I didn't play because I don't care about those games.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So it's just more games. And again, like I say, more is never not good. But I don't see it as being some huge, like, holy shit, that makes everything way different. It's just more shit.
I agree. BG, did you have the same sentiments when you saw that? Did you think that was a big get? Or did you think that was just kind of, okay, it adds more value, but, you know, we kind of have a running joke on the show that we always say that, you know, Game Pass is great, right? Because God forbid you say it's not great. The thing about it is, right?
Great.
But at the same time, did it really add the value to make you subscribe if you weren't subscribed?
Yeah, I just don't like subscribing to play games. I don't like a subscription service for games. That goes for PlayStation Now and Game Pass. I have tried both
Same here.
through the free subscriptions. But I'm not a fan of either. You know, I've never paid for either, and I don't ever plan to. I did say that if I don't have kids right now, but in the future, if I do, and when they become of age to like play games and stuff like that, I would get them an Xbox. And I'm not buying you no games. You get this Game Pass, and you get to play, because you're a kid. You don't need the newest and the best games that come out. Just hold this library. That was way more than I had as a kid. When I was
Absolutely.
a kid.
Most kids anyway, they just play the free stuff anyway. They play
That's what I was
they
going to say.
play like 2 or 3 things. Yeah.
I can't speak for everyone's kids, but in my family, the kids are playing. Listen, it's either Apex Legends, it's Warzone, or it's Fortnite. So, like we have, I got on that dollar deal that they announced when they first had that incentive where it matched your gold. My Xbox Live Gold went to June 2022. So for an extra $1, it matched Ultimate Game Pass up, and I have Game Pass till June 2022. I game share with my kids, and guess what? They're never playing Game Pass. Like, that's what everyone's like. Well, I'll just get the kids Game Pass and they'll be happy. Their friends are playing Fortnite and Warzone. Like,
that's true.
You know what I mean? So like, it's not about
or Apex Legends. I do hear people playing.
Yeah, Apex is still there. I mean, I think that's a solid number 3.
Roblox, yeah, people play that shit too.
Well, yeah, depending on the age of the kids, Roblox is a huge get, and Minecraft is still actually
I was like, who the hell?
Minecraft's still a thing too.
Gets me twice, Roblox and Fortnite.
Same thing,
week.
Forte.
Anytime I go into the kids' room and one of the 12-year-olds is playing Roblox, I just look and shake my head.
It's Roblox and Warzone right now, and I'll tell you, and it was Fortnite for a minute. But I mean, I saw this EA play, and everyone goes, "Mooch, oh my god, this is unbelievable!" So when I first saw it, I saw that right.
As me.
Right? I looked right away, and I was like, "Well, wait," because shout out to Predator H2O who was in the chat earlier. Pred has had Origin Prime. What is Origins? Is it called Origin Prime or Origin?
Yeah.
Right? It's whatever.
It was Origins or whatever.
It's $100.
Games day and date.
It was $100 for the year, but you got all the games in the vault and all EA game Premiere. Thank you. Day and date. So when I saw EA play, because I know that they merged the name together, I'm like, oh wait, that might be a big get. And then all of a sudden I looked at it and they're like, no, dude, no. The one that's going in the Game Pass for console is EA Access. And I was like, all right. Right there, I was like, I don't care. I was like,
EA Pro is the pro one.
Yeah, that one now, if EA Pro is included with all of them, now we got that kind of changes the tune.
Last gen, EA Play would have been awesome, man. You got the Skate games and 3 Mass Effect games and Dead Space games, right? They had like a ton of great games, and like this gen is just the couple of really good Dragon Age games, and this gen, I don't know what the hell happened. Who had it worse, but Xbox or EA? Like both fell off incredibly, like a huge amount.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's just the added value. That's all it is.
I will say, like, I have friends. Shout out to my brother K Mega. Huge like EA guy when it comes to sports and everything, and from what I've heard from the dedicated EA people out there, they're hyped for all that. They're hyped that they're bringing EA Play in together with Game Pass. They're not going to pay like for both subscriptions and stuff like that. So for the dedicated EA people, they are flipping out.
There's dedicated EA people.
Well, I will tell you, that's what I was excited for, because I actually have EA. I have it on both sides. I have it on PC and I had it on console. And for me, the best thing I heard was the fact that I don't have to pay for it on console anymore. And it wasn't mostly for me; it was mostly from my father-in-law, because he plays the Maddens and all that stuff. So I usually get it on there, then I get the discount and I buy it that way. So for a very small sets of the people, this is going to be a great move, because it just gives them more value to what they already have. But I'm with you, Mooch. If they would have said EA Play Pro was this, I'd be like, bro.
You would hear me spinning a different tune right now. But just because then you would get FIFA, you would get Madden, right? NHL, whatever it is you like, whatever sport you like, you would get that day and date. That's a big deal, not to mention the other great games that may come down the road.
I do think at a later date that's going to come, because right now you can't even get EA Play, Pro on anything but Origin. They offer EA Play on Steam now, but you can't get the Pro one. If you want to get Pro, you can only get that on their own, launcher on Origin. I do think there's going to be a moment in time, though, where they do merge that all together and you can get it in the subscription model. I don't know if it'll be part of Game Pass, but sooner or later, they're going to bring that over to console. Maybe mid-gen, who knows, but it's going to happen sooner or later.
So, Forte, I'm going to bring this next topic to you, and I'll be honest with you. I'm asking not only myself personally, you already know this. I've said it every single week that we podcast together. I'll say it again this week, but a lot of people were asking. There was reports that GameStop is closing more stores, right? So that report's out there. Myself personally, because of the trade-in value, and BG, I know you're right there with me because I listen to you all the time. You say the same shit on Twitter that I say, is that you take your PS4 and you are going to trade that in, and I'm trading mine in immediately to get a PS5. I don't need a PS4 when a PS5 is coming out. So I go to GameStop because GameStop is going to give me $200, $250 per console, at least, if you have the premium one at the time. So I'm going to GameStop. But there's people who are writing right now, Forte Online, and they're like, should I buy at GameStop? Because, if my local store ain't around, or if this and that, like, what about the warranty? Like, because, you guys offer a 1 and 2 year warranty with consoles. Well,
warranty could be an issue.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I wanted to know, Forte, what from the inside can you let people know to alleviate their concerns?
I mean, it's really nothing to be known on the inside. I mean, the company, everybody knows what the state of the company is. I mean, that's not a secret. I mean, they said it in their own what's the name called? Investment call. The biggest thing for you is people don't realize, they think when they hear 450 stores that's like in America, that's like worldwide, where they operate close to almost 6,000. So they're literally cutting like 450. And I don't know, BG, you probably can answer this because you live in NY, so you could probably talk about how many GameStops are literally like in downtown. Dude, there's a lot of them.
No joke. If I want to go within a 5-mile radius, I could probably get to about 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, and that's the same thing in my area. Like my store is literally down the street from 2 other stores. Like not even a mile and a half of the street.
I know BG's got the same thing. He probably got more. So
there used to be so I've noticed some closing. So there used to be for me like three games stops close enough in like walking proximity to each other. Right. Now over the years, since things have the situation has been changing for them and everything like that. Now it's one in that area, right? Like I remember there was a GameStop by my job, just one, and I used to go there after work if there was a new game came out. One week I went and picked up, I forgot what game it was, but it wasn't too long ago, before this COVID thing happened, obviously. Went there, picked up a game, and then I think the next week I went there for to pick up something else, and it was gone. Like, I'm talking about it didn't even look like a GameStop was there. 1 week. And I was like, I was looking around. I'm like, I know I'm not crazy. There was a GameStop right here. It was just shutters, everything done. And I'm like, this is happening pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. They're making moves. I mean, this is something that they even told us a while ago. They was like, over the course of the next couple of years, they're going to be really downsizing. And,
they're like, get your resume ready.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is like, as a person that works there and stuff, it gets nerve wracking, especially when you're in proximity to other stores and stuff. But the only thing we can, hold our hats on is the fact that we're all profitable. And it at this point, it's all stores that aren't profitable are the ones that they're doing that to, or ones that they think they can get more money out of stores that are closer and they just move those people somewhere else. So it's all about just getting as much money back as possible because they're losing money like crazy. And the one encouraging thing from that whole article was the fact that in the investment call, they talked about how, they lost over $100 million, but that is like less than what they lost last year during the same time. And that was with a good 90% of their stores closed this year. So think about that. They actually made more money this year than they did last year when all stores were open, but they still lost over $1 million due to stores being closed. So it's encouraging in that buy. But overall, should you still go to a store and buy your stuff there? Do you think GameStop's going to disappear like in the next year, 2 years? more than likely not.
No,
it will probably be they'll be more spread out. I think that's the number one thing they're trying to do is they're trying to find out what is economically good for them to have like certain instead of a GameStop being your neighborhood GameStop, it will be your city GameStop at that point. That's what they're going to try to get down to.
Forte, I love your positivity, brother. I really do.
I'm always positive with options.
I do have to say, the writing is on the wall.
Oh, yes, right. You were in brat with me saying the same crap the other day.
Say it's gonna last 10 years, and I'm like, brother, I don't know about that. I cannot.
Digital sales are killing them. Digital sales eventually
they're only going to get 50% at this point.
They're only going to get bigger, brother.
Yeah, eventually we're going to get to the point where everything is digital. There is no physical anything. That is going to be the future. Who knows if it's 5 years from now or 10 or 15 years from now, but the future will be no physical anything, digital everything. And then how are they going to make any money?
Well, this is the thing this is the thing like I was telling people. Anybody that gets caught with their pants down that works there is crazy because we all know this is officially going to happen sooner or later. It just depends on how long they are willing to fight that good fight when it comes to trying to stay relevant in that space. I will tell you that overall they look at it as once these new systems come out, now this probably would be more of a death nail if all of these systems were disc only. The fact that they are going to have systems with disc, that means they got to produce those discs. So as long as we have systems that have disc and those are relevant systems,
that's exactly it.
You're gonna be fine.
There's always going to be a used market, a used game market. There's always that's not going away. So Forte, like you said, there's going to be less stores, but there's going to be stores.
And there will be stores.
Mooch, real quick. This is what I want to say. The shareholders, the top dogs when it comes to GameStop, like, and this is something, shout out to Enrique on Brap and, Forte. Forte stated this on Brap. He was like, they're just trying to cut down on stores until they're, it's comfortable running again. Like there's too many stores and stuff like that. And I try to say that's not the way the shareholders think about that. They got used to a certain amount of money annually. They got used to that. They're not going to be happy with something that is less than that and keep going. What shareholders do is, and this is what GameStop, they're trying to make it through into this next generation. They're trying to get some money back. The shareholders are trying to get as much money back as they can, but eventually they're going to liquidate everything. They're going to take the lump sum. They're going to move over to the left, and they're going to invest their money into something else where they're going to get that same amount of annual money or more. That's exactly what's going on.
You're not wrong, Xbot, but that's not going to happen in the time frame that you think it's going to happen in. I mean, because
less than 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Less than 10 years. It could happen in 5. But right now we're talking about our people worried if they should be able to go to a store and pre-order a system and buy warranties on them right now. They're nowhere near that situation.
That's what I'm saying. Because listen,
they're nowhere near that situation.
And that's fine if anybody on the panel that disagrees with me, that's fine. If I'm going to buy a console mid-generation, I don't really. I'll say, nah, I'm good with the warranty.
Well, you'll know.
But when I go,
by that time.
that's something that
nobody also just. Go to Best Buy. Don't go to GameStop. Go to a Best Buy. It's not going anywhere anytime soon.
I'll be honest with you though, but the thing about Best Buy, they don't give you the trade-in value that you get at GameStop. Like GameStop's going to give you $250 for these consoles. Like if you have the Pro on the PS4 side or you have the X. But the other thing about it that no one's talking about, and I don't know about you guys, but listen, these consoles, we all know that there's a lemon rate, right? When these new consoles come out all the time, I always opt for at least the 1-year warranty with these consoles, because if you get one that's loud, you remember when I got a Scorpio edition, right?
Yeah.
I even wrote to Mike Ibarra and I sent him a video. I'm like, Mike, is my Scorpio supposed to sound like this? He was like, you better bring that shit back. I was like, all right.
Don't they all have a 1-year manufacturer's warranty?
Yeah, but that's a pain in the ass. You pay GameStop. I love what GameStop said to me the last time they changed their policy. I said, well, I'm not sure. I said the same thing you did, Supernova. I said the same thing. I'm like, well, no, I'm good. I get the warranty with the manufacturer. He goes, listen, man. He goes, if you take the console home and you lift it over your head and you throw it down a flight of stairs and you bring whatever you can gather back in, I'm going to give you a brand new console. I was like, all right, bet. That's a deal. I'm there. You know what I mean? So, like, what I'm saying is this. I don't feel like having to wait 3 weeks, ship it to Texas, wait for it to come back, pay for the shipping and handling. You know, let's stop all the nonsense. For whatever they're going to offer me, I can bring this thing back in like a Ziploc bag, and they're going to give me a brand new console. I think that's probably one of the greatest things that they change. That's not new Forte, but that's like
that's everything too. How many Elite controllers have you taken?
9 o'clock.
Because of that?
Oh, look at that! Oh, there he is. Father Time is on. I didn't even introduce Father Time tonight. That's great.
9 o'clock.
One thing nobody's brought up is what's really going to speed up like the demise of GameStop is when Microsoft and Sony figure out digital trade-ins, right? Because didn't Microsoft send out like a survey or something like that asking people about digital trade-ins?
Yes.
And because that's what holds people back from buying games digitally sometimes is, okay, digital is permanent pretty much. And you're like, I'm not sure, because the only games I don't buy digital are the games I'm not sure if I'm going to like. Exactly. I'm not sure if it's worth it. So, but at least if I had a digital trade-in system, and I don't care what it's worth, even if you give me, $5-10 back for a digital game, at least I know if I don't like this game, I'll be able to get something back for it and put it towards another game.
I'm surprised a system like that hasn't been developed already.
Well,
how difficult could it be?
Well, this was something that was part of what Microsoft was talking about in 2013, that this was going to be part of that whole family share plan, being able to trade games in. You will be able to go to different retailers and, get credit for codes and stuff by relinquishing it. They were talking about this all back then. It's just the fact that now it's starting to come back up. And I always told people Microsoft is going to get to the point that they wanted to in 2013. They were just a little too ahead of its time of doing it. But look where we are now. 90% of everybody that's on consoles are online. And even though you're not doing the whole check-in thing, you're still online.
Yes.
And the fact that most of the people that are like over 50% of people are buying digital, you're already buying into the ecosystem they wanted you to buy in back in 2013. So this is just the next step for them to do it. And they're going to find a way to get you there one way or another.
Also, what would really, we're just listing all the stuff that would like speed up GameStop's death. The other thing would be is, I don't know why it isn't this way, but reduced pricing on digital games. Digital games don't have to be. There's no reason they have to be the same price as a physical game.
Amen, bro. Amen.
There's no reason, right? So if they were to also reduce the price on digital games, people will also be less likely to buy the physical version.
Yes. Now,
I agree with that.
What I found interesting, and I think that everybody will agree with me here, it's better to get something than nothing. Because right now for your digital games, you get nothing. But the percentage that they mentioned in that email that went out, which I got, and they were like, what if we offered you, what was it? Was it 6% of like the actual total sale of what you bought it for? I mean, you would be walking away sometimes with like $3.25. Like you barely be able to get like a number one at McDonald's. Like they're not giving you a lot, but I got to be honest with you, there's a lot of games on my digital library right now that I know, just like you said earlier, BG, I'm not playing them. I'm not playing those games anymore. So, and I'm never going back. So if you're going to give me even $6-7 and I got 3, 4, 5 games, maybe that pays half of my halfway towards a new game.
One thing that I like is, I don't know if you guys, I know most of you guys have Switches. I really like what Nintendo does when you buy your games digitally on there to give you those game coin, the credit to be able to buy other stuff. If they don't want to just go out and just say, oh, well, we're not going to really do a digital trade SKU, at least give you some type of currency that allows you to say, hey, you buy these games digital, we're going to make sure your next game is cheaper. Even if you could find those games for cheaper on our store at a later date, you accumulate those coins. Because I looked up a couple of times when I was on the eShop, and I was like, I got $16 worth of credit on the eShop, and dude, I didn't put no money on here. But it's because I buy so many of the games digitally on the system.
That's right.
That it just adds up. So that's another way I think they can do it if they don't want to give you like a high trade-in rate for them. Just say, hey, for every physical or every digital game you buy, we're giving you like $5 in credit to go towards your account, and then that just adds up over the course of the year until you decide to buy something.
That actually makes more sense than the turn-in, to be honest with you, because again, when you buy something, some people, they like to just hold on to it. You know what I mean? They're like, I bought it, it's mine. Maybe I'll play it in 5 years, maybe I won't. You know what I mean? So I get that. I'd rather have an incentive, and I think $5, by the way, each purchase Gaming Forte is extremely generous. I think it would probably end up being like maybe 80 cents.
Well, it's $3 on Nintendo. Well, it's $3 on Nintendo.
Is it $3 on Nintendo?
Yeah, it's 30.
Okay,
yeah, every 100 coins.
And we know Nintendo's stingy, so if they're doing 3, Microsoft might do 4 or 5. So, guys, it is well past the 9 o'clock hour in New York, guys. We will wrap this episode up. I want to say shout out to everybody in the chat. I do want to give one super chat real quick. Febreze, he says Sony's blockchain DRM patent last year can be used for PSN game exchanges between users for money. So Febreze, thank you for that insight. I appreciate it. Guys, we had an awesome show tonight. Amazing panel. The chat was just flowing. Thanks to all the super chats. Thanks to the a lot of new subscribers. I'll give that credit completely to BG and Supernova for bringing over people. I appreciate that, guys. We have a great time on Friday nights. I really welcome everybody. Please hit that subscribe button. Please do hit that like button. I'm going to go in reverse order here and say shout out to BG. BG, thanks for being here tonight, man. Honestly, I had a great time. Also want to re-mention that I welcome the extended hand saying come out to Weapon Wheel. Hopefully we can do this again, and I look forward to my next time on Weapon Wheel, and we look forward to you being back in Crossfire real soon, buddy. So let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, definitely appreciate the invite. Just Broken Games HDR on YouTube. Same thing on Twitter. Weapon Wheel Podcast is at Sundays at 6 p.m. So, yeah, check us out if you haven't.
Appreciate that, BG. And then I got my buddy here, Supernova, which we finally got schedules to meet up. Everything worked out. Supernova, let people know where they can find you, and I look forward to your return as well.
Great. I'm on YouTube at Supernova Gaming. It's SUPA Nova. And then on Twitter at Gaming Supernova.
Appreciate that, Supernova. And then our buddy here, Gaming Forte. Forte, honestly, I got to be honest with you. I know it was our last segment, but you have no idea. This isn't just because you work there, man, or because you manage the store. I'm telling you right now, man, I love GameStop. I love everything that it provides. I know a lot of people say, we kind of don't get the value with our trade-ins and stuff like that. But my thing is this. It's like one of the last spots that gamers have a spot to go and pick up a game, pick up a console, and actually have great conversation with people that love our most passionate pastime. So, Forte, thanks for everything you do, buddy, and let people know where they can find you.
Oh, yeah, man, you ain't got to tell me that, man. I already know. I know I'm going to be fine. It's about all these other people out here that don't do what they're supposed to do. That's why people don't shop in their stores. But let's be for real, though. I'm going to let everybody know. We'll find out what this promotion and stuff is going to be because people have been hitting me up like, hey, what's the promotion is going to be when these systems come out? We're supposed to be finding that out over the next 5 to 6 days. So once I find that out, trust me, I'll hit it up on Twitter, let people know how much the trade-ins are going to be for all your stuff that you got. So be on the lookout for that. And we don't even know how these systems are going. We don't know if it's going to be online or not yet because it keeps. Some people are saying that these are online only for certain systems. We don't really know. So until you hear officially, don't listen to anything you hear. But outside of that, it's Gaming Forte everywhere, YouTube and Twitter. Check us out. 3 videos a week. Talk a lot of Xbox, PlayStation, stuff like that. On top of that, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast every Wednesday. Tuesday nights with me and Slow-Mo, where we chalk it up on that show every day. Every Tuesday. It will be on his channel next week. It was on my channel this week. So if you missed the last episode, check that out. And Scumcast tomorrow. I probably won't be on there, but my boy Slow-Mo will be there, so support him and Ashley Luke and the rest of the crew over there. Other than that, you guys have a great week.
Appreciate that, Forza. And see, BG, he's not on that many podcasts.
Oh, man.
Yo, I know BG had his pencil and paper out. He's tallying each 4. One of those.
I was only on 4 this week, unlike my...
Only 4.
Unlike my partner in crime is probably going to be on 6 this week.
He said only 4. All right. So that was great.
I gotta cut out my sister Ashley Luca, though. I'm just saying, man.
And look, man, I get slandered every day.
Yeah.
One Friday, one Saturday, there will be a DM in our Destiny chat about how many podcasts were you on this week? 8.
It's so true.
And then her entire panel, yeah.
And then BG gonna start up another trend of saying, "Yo, you got to get your people in order. You got to put your foot down and tell them to stop being on so many shows." Shout out to you, BG, because I saw that trend. I was like,
3 podcast limit per week, man.
Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk.
That's the new governor right there. I like that. Then I got my buddy here, Xbot448. Xbot, now that you're not doing shows on Saturday, it completely throws off my rhythm. Now you're on Thursday. You're throwing me off. But I'm glad you're still doing it, buddy. And during the week is always a good time. So let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, definitely. First, shout out to the chat. Shout out to the panel. As usual, had an absolute blast. It is the beginning of the Gamers Weekend, starting with Crossfire. But Mooch is right. We changed next podcast. Next podcast is now on every Thursday, 7 p.m. on my channel. If you don't know, my channel is Xbot448. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. We also have a completely console war free Xbox podcast called the Series X Podcast. We don't talk about any other platforms. It's just Xbox news, Xbox topics, Xbox entertainment. So far, it has been really awesome. We got 3 episodes in. That is every Sunday at I believe 6 p.m. as well. So the Xbox gamers out there, if you want just Xbox entertainment, my channel is definitely the place to be on Sunday for that. But like I said, as usual, I had a great time, man, and I know Crap Gamer wants to do his Crap Gamer review, so I'm going to shut up now.
He certainly does, Xbot. Then I'll go to Crap Gamer. Crap, thanks for being here tonight. We got M&C this Sunday, 11:30, 11 o'clock, depends, football. I don't know what you're doing, Crap. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, sounds like it's going to be a good show. Also, I think I'm pulling double duty because Kid Smooth invited me to the Weapon Wheel podcast Sunday night, so.
There we go. It's going to be great.
I'm first time there, so it should be a lot of fun.
It is. It's a good time with the guys, man. I appreciate that. Crap Gamer, 11 o'clock, 11:30.
I'm sure the chat's going to treat me well. I'm looking forward to that.
I will be in the chat. It'll be great. Guys, that being said, it is, like I said, well past our time. Thank you, everybody in the Super Chat. Thanks to the great panel. Thanks to everybody that's here. We'll catch you guys next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Mooch 78. Please do subscribe on the way out. Peace out. Good night. Enjoy your weekend.
Later.
Battle Toads!